right, so here we go. A special edition. Welcome to the B Machine Radio Show. I am Gregory Joseph, and you are not. Now, a lot of people didn't even hear the sweeps and everything. We had some issues. Naturally, it'll all fix itself right after the show. But so no prompts, no everything, just kind of winging it tonight. You know what? We are live on the air right here, 88.7 FM, WGAT, Jersey Radio, bouncing off from the East and the West Coast. It is a special edition. I am joined by my guest co-host in 1 second. That would be Kim Kelley. For those that know me for more than 5 seconds, know that her and I do a lot of things together to not talk about it, but to actually combat child trafficking. And of course, she's all boots on the ground and doing everything. She just doesn't sit there and stirs the pot. She is fearless, as I am. And we help each other. And this is what I can do by lending my time and definitely on my station to for very important subjects, not just the music that we do and Gen X and all that. That's all wonderful and great. Love it to death. Our morning shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Awesome. Spotify just picked it up. But this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and a lot of people out there, for those that know about it, understand it, and perhaps, well, I mean, you got it so that it's maybe they don't know. Maybe they need to hear this. Maybe it's those cringeworthy things that really need to be said, like to be said and to be just, it's got to be talked about out loud. So that being said, I'm going to bring in Kim, and then we're going to have two special people that are here. They are not just survivors. They are not victims. They are walking, talking, breathing heroes. That is my opinion. And once you speak to Becka and Malibu, or have them speak about their life, about what they've been through, you're gonna feel the same way. I can just about guarantee it at this point. So I forgive me that our cameras are down and everything like that. No big deal. We have audio working just fine. We'll take what we could get. So that being said, without any further fondue, let's bring in Kim Kelley. There she is, double K. Good evening, my dear. How are you?
Good evening. I'm great. It's great to be here. I appreciate you hosting this message. I think it's really important for people to hear it.
Yes, it is. And it's more than just a message. This is the way it is. If they want it sugar coated or whatever, that's what Light FM is for. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot at them. They took a shot at me earlier. But anyway, we're not going to play around. This is real life, and there's no hyperbole. There's nothing made up. This is the way that you find out what has happened, what is going on now, not just the past, and what can be done now about it. Not 10 years from now, not 20 seconds from before, now. So that takes a little bit of delving back into a little bit of your backstory for those that might or might not know. And then we will bring in our two people from our panel, which I'm very happy and very honored to have them. They agreed on short notice to be with us, and you will meet them in a little bit. All right, Kim. So the floor is yours. Explain to people who Digital Defenders United is, who you are, and what are you doing here, young lady? What's going on here?
Well, I'm here because I'm too pissed off seeing all the bad things happening to children to stand by and do nothing. I'm here because I wish the system wasn't broken, but it is. So I'm here to solve problems. And that means understanding the problem and being willing to be aware of what the problems really are, not what we want them to be or don't want them to be. It means having a realistic and effective approach. We're not here for credit, we're here for action. So I myself am a survivor of child trafficking. I was born and raised in an international religious cult, one of the worst. I experienced trafficking and cult abuse and every form of bad thing for about 20 years of my life until I escaped. Fast forward about 10 years, it came to my attention how bad child trafficking and exploitation still is in America, and that America is actually the biggest problem. And that's when I could no longer stand by and watch this evil thrive. So I've been in the space for quite some time now. I've worked with quite a lot of organizations. I now train law enforcement to identify and also combat child trafficking and exploitation. A lot of training is needed, and we can delve more into that. But once again, I want people to keep in mind, just because we're pissed off, emotions aren't solving problems, but action is. So I do a lot to raise awareness, but also compel people to do their part to be part of the solution. So tonight we're going to be joined by two amazing other survivors who I've also met throughout this work. I actually met them both on TikTok. I've never met them in person, but they're each doing amazing things. Each of our perspectives are going to be unique, even though we all experience a similar style tragedy that no child should ever experience. So we're here to talk about the truth, and we're here to talk about what people can do to actually help.
Yeah, they could actually do rather than just saying, "Oh, that's terrible." All right, on to the next thing. Yeah, we've spoken about that more times than I can even count, Kim. Seriously, like I said, I mean, it's not an American problem. It's not a European problem. It's not a Canadian problem. It's a human being problem. It's a everybody problem. And yeah, it's everybody's problem. That's the way I see it. Because even if you don't have kids, have never had kids, and you didn't have nieces, nephews, cousins, which I find impossible, but let's just say that that's the case. Yeah, you were a kid at one time. Try to get around that one. So that being said, innocence before their life even gets started, for the most part, and it's heart wrenching. It's heartbreaking. Um, it's being taken away from them in the name of the almighty dollar. That's a sickness, and it pisses me off. Obviously, you're not going to hear the bleeps, and that's probably good because there's going to be a lot of them. I don't have time for blissful ignorance, and I'm sure nobody on this panel, you, myself, or anybody around here, has any time for that anymore. If you don't know that a billions with a B, billions of dollars that are funneling through all of these different, let's say, ventures, just to put it mildly, and you're not aware of it, they don't know about it. Are you kidding me? There's no fucking way. All right, so you've always followed the money. Unfortunately, you will find the culprit. And this isn't about saving the world. It's about saving the children, which are our world once we're gone. And it can be done. It will be done. It's not if, it's when. And it's people like you, Kim, that are actually doing it. Those are the heroes. Those are the boots on the ground. Not throwing some change in a cup at 7-Eleven and saying, oh, yeah, I did my part. Well, that's bullshit because it's not. I remember as a little kid sitting at the, eating my breakfast and there's the thing of milk on my here and there's a missing child on. This is nothing new. This isn't something that just started with the internet, so it's incumbent upon people like yourself, me, Malibu, Becca, people like that, and so many others, thousands of others, that it's up to us. It's up to us. It really is. You can't fix a problem until you admit that there is one. Bottom line. All right. So at Digital Defenders United, you do what normally, I mean, that's for online safety for children and the different protocols and things that you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do. Okay. We get all of that. But some people don't. And we could go into that again, but I think that we'll keep the concentration on basically with our guests tonight because they have to say it. I'm going to give them a chance to say it. So let me bring them both in at the same time as we'll be ready for them. We'll do ladies first. So we'll have Becca right there. Good afternoon, young lady. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm good. How are you?
If I was doing any better, I'd be the same. Thank you for asking. And yeah, well, it's still me. Sorry. You're stuck with me today. It's not such a bad thing. Okay. And we also have your partner in crime this evening, so to speak. Boom. There he is, Malibu. Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And you heard my intro or the intro that I gave that it's not your survivors. Kim is a survivor. You guys are not victims, you're heroes because you could do the same thing as Kim could have done. Did a 180, took off, went and let me go heal. I want to think about this. The hell with you. Just leave me alone. Nobody would blame you. No, nobody would blame you. But you didn't do that. You didn't. You could have. And maybe that journey or the one that you're on, and it is a journey, maybe it's good for you as much as it's good for the people that you're going to be helping. You're going to be talking to people tonight and future, like subsequent shows, perhaps, or whenever we do TikToks or anything that you might do on your own. You're going to be helping people that you will never meet. You'll never, if they walk right by you, right? You wouldn't even know who they are. But you're going to help people and let them know, A, they're not alone. They're not isolated like they probably think they are. Maybe you guys thought that at some point. I'm speculating. But and number two, they might feel a little bit better. And sometimes feeling better is good enough. And it's not coming from a book or from some YouTube video or something. It's, well, we're on YouTube, but you know what I mean. It's not coming from a YouTube like speculation and like the letter of the thing. This is PC, but no, this is coming right from your mouth, from your heart out. Same for both of you. Same thing with Kim. Well, that's the best source that I could think of. So, Kim, you're very familiar, or mostly familiar with Becca and Malibu more than I am myself. I met them when we did that TikTok. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago. Feels like longer, but like I said before, to use the same the same verbiage. It was etched indelibly in my mind how they spoke. Now they didn't talk; they spoke. There is a difference. Take it from me. So I'm so happy that these people that are going to be listening and watching now live, listening to us, and on replays later on when we repurpose it, you're going to help a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be a lot smarter about what's going on instead of just having a breaking heart going forward. You're going to do that, and you're going to continue to do that when you're home sleeping. And these people are going to be listening and watching, whether it's on Spotify, whatever it is. That should make you feel good. It should give you some comfort, I would think. You're helping people that maybe you didn't get that help, but you're not those type of people, are you? So that's why I'm happy that you're here. All right, Kim, I'll let you ride this wave here because I'm not sure. I just want to be like, I'm so sorry and hug you guys. Like, that's not going to help you right now.
That's not why we're here. Thank you, though.
May I please kick somebody's ass for you? I mean, I don't know what else I can do than.
We're here to compel people to do their part and also tell them what they need to know, because it's not about the gruesome details. It is about what each of us are willing to do to be part of the solution. So I'll let Malibu and Becca introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their story, and especially what they're doing today, what they want people to know about their current journey.
Well, Becca, you heard the boss, so go ahead. It's all you guys.
Becca, go ahead.
So my name's Becca. I was trafficked right here in the U.S. from the age of about 15 to 25. I survived 10 years on the streets. I have won several national awards now. For advocacy. I am part of a nonprofit based in Oklahoma that is a residential housing facility for minor victims of human trafficking. I have also been to Congress. I've been to several state legislators, and I've also taught classes at CLEAT certifications regarding human trafficking. And like Kim and Malibu, we choose to tell our stories, so hopefully another child doesn't have to go through what we did.
Yeah, that's very true.
Go ahead, Malibu.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me here again. It's great to be a part of the panel. The more discussions we have about this in the manner in which we're doing it, the better, right? So, again, my name is Malibu Dallas. If you guys haven't heard about me yet, thanks for having me. I am a victim of child trafficking and a survivor. From the age of 7 to the age of 15, I was in foster care through CPS. I never received one amount of abuse until I entered into the system. Yes, my mom was a drug addict. She was an alcoholic. And CPS came and took us away from because of that alone. But I never received any type of physical abuse, any type of, any other abuse that you can think of. I'm so used to talking on TikTok, and TikTok is so restrictive of what you can say. But I'm glad that I'm here because every single home that I was in foster care, I was massively abused, tortured, starved, raped, you name it. I went through it in every single house. And that was for 8 years straight. So through those 8 years, I didn't trust anybody. And then I got handed a miracle, and I got adopted at the age of 15. And from the age of 15, my life was pretty smooth from that point forward. And then I found myself going to prison for 6 years. And then after that, while I was in prison, I turned my life around because I started studying the law. I made a vow to myself that I would never be a victim of a system ever again. And I just buckled down and I learned the law. I learned my rights, and I vowed to myself that I would do everything in my power to make sure that I could do everything that I could to help teach people their rights, to help them stand on their rights with authority, let them know how powerful they truly are. And ever since then, I started TikTok 6 years ago, and 3.5 years ago, I started doing videos on CPS and the amount of corruption inside the system. And my videos have been reaching millions and millions of people throughout the entire country. And I've had the privilege of working with thousands and thousands of parents all over this country and teaching them their rights and letting them know how powerful they are. And through that advocacy, through that journey, we have successfully had over 600 cases closed and children returned back home. So that is an amazing accomplishment. And through that journey, I've written books. I'm a published author. I'm an advocate, obviously. Excuse me. I'm also a certified ADA advocate. And then, along with all the video trainings that I do, we've been able to reach millions of people throughout the country. So the country is definitely waking up to exactly what's going on inside of the system. And we're getting very, very close to seeing some massive, massive results.
I love it. I applaud you both for the work you do. And also, like, I know this about you guys personally, but like the heart behind it and in it. And I think this topic is one that a lot of people, regular grown adults, a lot of people do not want to be aware. They are unwilling to acknowledge the reality of what many children are experiencing. So again, Mean Machine, I want to thank you for hosting this conversation on your platform. Again, it's something people need to know. But again, we're not just here to talk about sad stories and gruesome details. We're here to talk about what needs to change and how people can help. Because I like to say knowledge is only power if you're willing to do something with it. And there's a lot of organizations that are claiming to help, raising millions of dollars in the name of helping, that aren't helping. And we're not here for that type of performative activism. We're here to expose the truth and, most importantly, tell people how they can be part of the solution. If y'all have questions for us, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you ask them while we're live, we'll try to bite on some questions here. But Mean Machine, is there like a starting place you wanted us to start with, or there's a lot to unpack here?
Yeah, there normally is with you, Kim. You are a handful. No, I'm kidding. I want to be able to get to. I mean, if it's just Q&A, if it's that you want to give a chance for. Malibu said what he prefaced what he was going to say, and he did. If you, Becka, do you want to add a little something from your story? If you don't, that's okay. Or if you just want to take questions, we'll leave that up to you. Like I said, we're giving you guys the floor tonight. You deserve it. So how do you want to proceed? I'm happy to do with, you want to talk to us? Talk to us, Becka. Come on. We need you to talk to
totally. Us. So, I openly share my story. I'm pretty much an open book. So if you do have questions while I'm chatting about my story, drop them. If I don't feel comfortable answering them on live or on this platform, we can connect in a different manner. I was kidnapped shortly before my 15th birthday by some gang members and taken to Phoenix, Arizona. So ironically, literally where Greg is right now. Spent some time in Phoenix and then was taken to almost every state in the United States. I had interactions with law enforcement in 27 states. Several times was told that they couldn't help me, or they didn't want to help me, or they didn't have the resources to help me. Fast forward to, several people I know passing away because of being in the game. I was kind of at the worst point, begging God to literally kill me. And a person who is one of my really good friends today didn't know how to use an ATM in Las Vegas, Nevada. And for whatever reason, he helped me. And, 10 years after being taken and being raped hundreds of times, thousands of times, but on a daily basis, I would say between 10 and 30 times for somebody else's profit, I finally was able to get my identity back. Since then, I have gotten 3 associates, 2 bachelors, and a master's. I am super involved in raising awareness for people who are what I would call hidden in plain sight. We definitely are right around the corner from you, and don't believe because you're in a rural area that something's not happening, because I can tell you that some of the most rural places are where we made the most money. I think a lot of people think that because they're not in a major metropolitan area that this isn't happening around them, and you are very, very wrong. It happens in every single community. It doesn't matter, big, large, small, or in between. It happens in every demographic. It happens to both genders. And we need to wake up. If we don't wake up, thousands of kids are going to die.
And that's rough to even hear that, much less having you say that it's not a maybe. It's difficult to even hear that out loud, as I'm sure you might already know that, Becca. It's not maybe. I mean, I don't
A
even know.
difficult reality, but statistically, like the average age of entry into trafficking in the United States, and statistics are very skewed because a lot of us don't speak out and we hide. It's a very traumatic experience, and some of us just want to go hide in the shadows and live our lives. And I choose not to live that way because there are other children currently being harmed in this country that we have a duty to help.
Yeah.
It's a duty. Like our children are a duty. Their safety should be a priority. And the intentional ignorance in this country is ridiculous. But the average age of entry into the in the U.S. statistically is 11 years old, and the average lifespan of somebody who has entered into the trafficking realm is 2 years. So for whatever reason, somebody much bigger than me, a higher power, God, whatever you want to call them, gave me a mission in life by allowing me to survive 10 years of absolute hell. And that mission is to become a voice for somebody who can't have one.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that we're not talking about people, not that it's okay for any age. I mean, you could ask Kim. I mean, Kim doesn't speak like she's not speculating. She would know. And I'm using her as the obvious example of her being here, but it's not okay at any age. But when I hear about the young, like very young, it's hard for me to even spit that out. Seriously, that's just okay. I'm just going to say it because this isn't TikTok. Okay, that pisses me off to no fucking end because there is no shortage of evil in this world, and to have to tell people that this is going on when you know that they know, maybe not to a certain extent, or you specifically, Becca or Malibu or even Kim. That's that blissful ignorance that I'm talking about. It aggravates me. You're running into that often where people kind of know, but they're just kind of waving you off, or what's
I don't think it's blissful ignorance. I think it's intentional ignorance because I think there is so much evil in this world that we can't comprehend that instead of doing something about it, we intentionally ignore it.
intentionally ignore it because they can't handle it. They don't want to know. A combination of both. Who knows?
Or they don't want to admit the fact that there's people probably very close to them that are impacted, that are either an abuser or have been abused. People ask me, this is a question that I get asked all the time when I talk about my story, is what does somebody who purchase a child for sex look like? And it literally looks like anybody, your neighbor, your basketball coach, a police officer on the corner. And I love police officers, but they're not immune. Soldiers spend a lot of time around bases. And I mean, like I said, I have utmost respect today for military and for the police. But they also participate in this underground network. So it is literally anybody. It's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, uncles, kids themselves that are purchasing kids for sexual reasons. And there isn't a face to that. Like I can't tell you that, Malibu looks like a predator and Kim doesn't. That's not how that works. The problem in our society is we have become intentionally ignorant to the fact that we are a very sexualized society in our media and every piece of social media you can find. And that breeds uncomfortability. And especially when people are looking or not happy and they need to be sexually gratified, the easiest way to do that is to pay for it. And unfortunately, there is a lot of children in this country that are hiding in plain sight, being used for somebody else's profit.
Yeah, there's a lot of grown-ass adults too that on the one side, people that are evil and psychotic enough to be able to even exploit and even sell a child and traffic them. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a lot of grown-ass adults who are unwilling to be aware. And part of my theory there is, yes, it's an uncomfortable truth. And I get a little sarcastic about it because I want to kind of bully adults into being a little less cowardly, because if you're too afraid to think about the scary things children are experiencing on a daily basis, that's not a qualified excuse. But the other aspect of that is once we acknowledge this is true, okay, first of all, does it really matter if it's like 1,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 kids? I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying at what point will we be compelled? Even if it was just, quote unquote, just 1,000 children in our country, shouldn't we be willing to do something? So once you acknowledge this is true, then we're left with two choices: do something or do nothing. And doing something is often uncomfortable. So it can be easier for people to either stay blissfully ignorant or choose intentionally to stay ignorant. And as we can, that's not helping. There's a reason that this crime is the fastest growing, the second largest. There's a reason that it's thriving. Part of that is because it's protected and funded. Another big part of that is because we have a lot of good people that are willing to do nothing. So we're here to change that.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Go ahead, Mel. I'm sorry.
I agree with a lot of that. Like Becka hit some hard points there, Kim. Like to me, Becka comes from a world of child sex trafficking different than I did, right? Same thing with Kim, right? We all have different avenues of where that sex trafficking as a child came from, where it initiated, where the origin came from. It's not just one place. It's so many different locations and different avenues and different streams of where it comes from. It's mind-boggling. My issues came from the system itself directly, not because I was picked up from a mall when I was a kid and kidnapped and then thrown into a van and taken away and then sold as a child. I was taken away by the actual system that advertises that they're protecting children. Okay, when you have a governmental agency acting in regard to, hey, we're child protective services, we are protecting your children, when they are federally funded and incentivized to take children and then place that child into a home where they may or may not do a background check, who knows, right? So most every single home that I was in, I never unpacked my suitcase because I knew I was only going to be there for 3 to 4 months. But I knew it was going to be a 3 to 4 month stint of absolute hell. Because there was not one single home that I was not starved, raped, tortured, abused in manners that you cannot even possibly imagine. And we endured that for 8 years. So when you have that type of systematic corruption over money, it's not because they're protecting children. It's not because they want to solve the problem. It's not because the system's broken. The system's working exactly the way they want it to work. And yes, Becka said, it's police officers, it's teachers, it's your doctors. Major hospitals. Major hospitals have CPS worker social service offices in the building. This is how crazy it is. So when you have so much access to children through public schools, through hospitals, through after-school programs, through churches and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and it's absolutely insane how much connections there are into sex trafficking. And yeah, people need to wake up. People need to wake up at a faster rate, because if we don't wake up, it's just going to continue over the next 30, 40, 50 years. And then we're going to be gone. And then our children are going to have to figure out how to fix these issues. Well, I don't want to leave these children to defend another 50, 30, 20 years of trying to figure out how to stop child trafficking. It's not fair to them.
Yeah, I refuse to be the generation that allows this to continue.
And you guys have to remember that, like, for me, like, this adventure started before I was an adult. So I was a broken child from a broken home. And I think that's common for most of us, that we come from, in some way, a broken background. Whether it's just a single parent who can't pay attention because they're too busy working. That doesn't mean that they're a bad parent. It means we as a society are failing a child because we're not a village anymore. That has gone away. So we see a mom struggling and we're not helping. Those kids don't have someone to rely on. But we are broken children that become broken adults, and we have to learn how to heal once we become that adult, mostly on our own. I mean, yes, there are like therapists that can help, but like I can tell you, navigating, like getting resources when I got out was the hardest thing I have ever had to do in my entire life. And it still is today. Like finding someone who is not only trauma based, but can even wrap their mind around the fact that I was abused. I mean, I have hundreds of healed fractures in my ribs. I've had my jaw broken, my feet broken, like you name it, it's happened. And not even just the sexual aspect of that, but also the mental aspect of that. And you wrap it all into a big onion and you have to peel it away. But finding those resources, they don't exist. And that's a huge problem today. And Kim will tell you that I question this all the time, because there's a lot of police officers or police departments that have said, hey, we've rescued these children. And my biggest question when it comes to that is, where did they go? Because if you aren't taking them from somewhere that is unsafe and placing them somewhere where not only can they be safe and possibly be hidden, because traffickers are vast and they will find you, because mine did when I ran away, are they getting the resources they need to thrive? And a lot of those police departments don't have an answer for that. And that's not their responsibility, but it is. It is their responsibility to hand them off to somebody who can help provide a safe place for them to be, where they can get some sort of healing path and learn how to be functional, not broken members of society as an adult. Because if you take a broken child that becomes a broken adult and there's no intervention, that cycle is going to continue.
100%. I know we
I'm
need to
going
stop
to,
for a break.
I'm sorry, that's what I was trying to type in, that we have to take a break. I'm sorry to interrupt you right there. Becca, we will definitely come back. We will have you finish that thought. I apologize right there. We do have to do it. So we'll be gone for a few minutes. But once again, we're going to talk to Becca. We're going to let her finish that thought. We'll go back to Malibu. We'll, of course, bring Kim back in as well. And yeah, it's a conversation. It's a Q&A. It's real life. It's what needs to be said. This is not, let's make everybody feel bad. Let's tell them what really happened and what needs to happen going forward. Not just the bad. We're going to tell you the good and everything that could come across with that. Because, of course, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, and it's people that we have on right now that are going to be able to bring that to you. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are listening. For those that are watching, we appreciate it on YouTube and on X. We are 88.7 FM WGAT, the Beam Machine Radio Show. I am Gregory Joseph. We have a special panel where we have Kim Kelley here from Digital Defenders United, and of course, the two important and our guest panel members, we could call them Becca and Mr. Malibu. So we're going to get more into this. We're going to dive back in right after this. So don't go anywhere, please. And we'll see you in a few.
Hey, we can hear that.
All right, so we're going to have to re-edit that a little bit later on, since you're not hearing the little commercials and everything that come up. But that's okay. We have the good stuff, which is the right people and the real people that are here. Now, there's a lot of people out there. So we'll welcome back to the Beam Machine Radio Show. This is 88.7 FM. We are WGAT. We are broadcasting live right now. We are also streaming on X and I believe on YouTube. So we are joined, of course, as always, when we're tackling this subject. There's no one more qualified in this world, as far as I'm concerned, than Double K, aka Kim Kelley, good friend of mine and a friend of the show as well, to our station. She's been very important here, and she continues to be so. And we're also joined, thankfully, and we are honored to have two survivors. I mean, I'm just going to put what's in the ad right there. I see them as heroes. You can put down as survivors. We have Becca and Malibu with us. We are live with them. Well, right before we went to break, Becca, I apologize, we had to do that, but you were in the middle of a thought. So can you just repeat everything you said for the last hour, if you don't mind? I'm kidding. If you could, I wanted you to finish that thought, and then I had a follow up question on a couple of those, if you don't mind, and then we'll go over to Malibu when we're done, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I know Kim and I have talked about this in depthly about whose responsibility it is once a child is rescued from a trafficking situation to place them somewhere that is not only safe, which is hard to find, but also in an environment where they can unpack some of the trauma, whether that be with a licensed therapist or with another survivor. Because honestly, we're the only people that really understand what we went through. And unfortunately, in this country, there really isn't a place like that. So the task really isn't for law enforcement, and it's really for we the people. However, we the people is failing the children that are being rescued. So I know Kim will tell you that her and I refuse to stay silent about this, because if we as a society do not come up with a plan to help these children who are rescued, and not only just children, the adults too. They're even worse off than the children, to be fair, because there's a lot of resources for children, but there's not a lot for adult survivors. Unpack that trauma, then we become broken adults who fall back into the cycle of whatever that might be. It may be abuse, it might be substance abuse, it may be a very broken family home, or it may be us turning back into the same environment we came for because it's so uncomfortable to change. Because let's face it, if you look at someone who says, like, I've had to navigate this, like, you tell someone you're a trafficking survivor and the first thing they say is, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hear I'm sorry anymore. Because if you were sorry, you wouldn't be sitting in the dark doing nothing. Period.
Yeah, I'm sorry doesn't really. We're happy that you're sorry. But if you didn't say you were sorry, we're still in the same exact spot here. Because I don't think they know what to say. I guess that makes people uncomfortable, nervous, both. Something, I would assume.
Well, and change makes people uncomfortable. If you think about that, any change in life we go through makes us uncomfortable, whether it's positive or negative. But if we don't realize that we, the people, are the reason for change and the voices to change, then nothing changes. And that's the problem. Because we are stuck in I'm too scared to say something. It's not going to happen to me. It doesn't exist. I don't want to even try to think about the fact that it exists. So instead of doing something, we become inact. So we stop and we just ignore a problem. And when you ignore a problem, it just gets greater and greater and greater until it is in your face. And the reality is this is in your face. You're just choosing not to see it.
Oof, that's so good.
Right.
I've seen so many people that are in the position where they should be able to do something. And whether it's our elected officials or the people in our communities, we, the people, should not be making excuses for those who won't. I've heard a lot of funny excuses, and I've got dark humor, so I'm going to say this sarcastically, just the way I feel it. When I ask why our administration, why the presidential candidate, why the politicians, why all the people whose job it is to protect and serve aren't, the excuses are incredible. And they're like, oh, but they tried, but they were scared. Oh, but someone might come after them. Oh, but it's very scary. And I'm like, hi, I'm a petite, smiley female. I'm a survivor of child trafficking. It shouldn't have to be me. I don't have Secret Service. See how I'm out here making sounds with my mouth? Yeah, none of us should be tolerant of, especially the people whose job it is to protect and serve. We shouldn't make excuses for them. We shouldn't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But also, since we're acknowledging that they won't, that does mean we, the people, must. So there's this other train of thought where people like to blame. And I'm with you, I agree, but emotions and opinions aren't changing things. Action is. So again, if you're pissed off, I'm with you. The difference is, are you willing to step in and do something, or are you throwing thoughts and prayers and opinions at things, but you're unwilling to step in and change? Now, I'm not asking everyone to do what I've chosen to do, what Becca's doing, what Malibu's doing. I'm not asking everyone to dedicate their entire life, but I'm asking them not to do nothing. And again, we can be aware, and there's still a lot more awareness that's needed, but we can't stop with awareness. We have to turn that into action.
And we have to turn...
Thoughts and prayers isn't what you need. Oh, I'm sorry.
Not even what God asked us.
We have to turn it into actions that makes sense. So like when we talk about this a lot, like people they'll get this huge passion to go save children. But in reality, like if you do find a child that's being trafficked and you put yourself in a position to try to save them, if you are not educated on what to do with them, once you find them, you should leave them where they are because they are safer.
Right, you could actually exacerbate the whole situation. Well, and let me ask you this, and then I want to get Malibu's take on this too, real quick. But Becca, let me just ask you really fast, and it's not something. It's very organic, and it was just I'm reminded of it because I mean, there's many things that America. Let's just talk about the U.S. We know it's a global problem. That goes
Mhm.
without saying. You're saying that the way that you would wish that they would handle trafficking, like what would that be? Like I've discussed this with Kim. Kim has been very vocal about it. She also, I mean, she's fearless. She's going to tell you what she thinks, and she's got every right to do so. She has a leg to stand on, and then some, as far as I'm concerned. But why isn't there a three-letter agency dedicated to this? There is for the DEA and the ATF and the FBI and the CIA, and it goes on and on and on. But if this is billions, what did you say, Kim? It's more than the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, and everything combined. Did you say
More
something
than
else?
all professional sports, all the
That's
different
insane.
types of sports balls. This generates more income every single year than all of that.
Well,
It's
I'm all for
billions and billions and billions of dollars. It far
with a B.
outreaches any type of professional sports.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, we're
there's
talking about with a
thousands
B,
of
billions.
there, there's thousands of men, women, and children right now in the US, and we can only speak about domestically right now, that are being trafficked as we speak. And I can only tell you from my experience that I was required to bring home no less than $1,000 a day. And the traffickers that I work for had between 5 and 11 of us on the ground. So think about that. That's 11. That's one trafficker with his girls making a minimum of $11,000 a day, and there's hundreds of them. If that doesn't put it into perspective, like I don't know what would.
That's the math. That's insane. I'm sorry. Just to reiterate, how old were you at the time, Becca?
I was taken right before my 15th birthday, and I found freedom right before my 25th birthday. Actually, on Super Bowl Sunday this year, it'll be 10 years.
10 years, a decade, and you were completely trapped. I mean, you. I already know what's going to happen. Well, why didn't you just run away and call the cop? Duh. I wish I could have thought of that. Thanks for weighing in.
Oh, no, no,
Uh,
no. Let's talk about that for a second because
okay.
why didn't I run away? Where was I going to go? Like that's the reality for the majority of us, and I can't say that it's every single one of them because every single one of them. But one, we come from broken homes. Two, where we get taken away from everything we know. Three, I wasn't even identified as my own damn name for 10 years. Okay, like I was nicknamed, and I talk about this on a regular basis because one of the things I had to do when I first got free was go to the DMV and get a state ID. Okay. Sounds stupid because every adult in America, for the most part, carries one, right? But that was the first time that I was acknowledged for who I actually was. Like in it
You have
physically,
to
like I
prove
had
that you're
something
here.
with my actual name on it. So like, people ask me, why didn't you just leave? One, where am I going to go? Two, I have so much trauma to unpack that it's ridiculous. And three, like I at that point was not a functioning member of society in a way that like in any way, shape, or form. I didn't know how to dress myself. I didn't know how to feed myself. I didn't know how to get a job. I did not know how to be an adult. I was taken when I was a child.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's okay. So, and here's the thing that this makes a lot of sense to me. I don't enjoy saying this, but this is my take on, or at least partially on that. That okay. So here's Becca, and then she's gone at 15. Boom. Does anyone even give a shit? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they stopped looking. Maybe it was just like, oh well, you know what I mean? A broken home. But the thing, and even Malibu had touched on this, and we'll get his take on this as well. He touched on this last time on the TikTok and a little bit earlier. Where are you going to go? You're going to go back into the system, right? Okay, the cops will grab you, and then they're going to bring you to a home, right? To wherever that, whatever they call it now. I mean, back in the day, it was an orphanage. Now it's like a kid's home. It's state, it's an absolute hell and a nightmare for most people, as from what I hear. Malibu was just saying the same thing. So we're going to put you right back where this all started, and then it's just going to, they're going to spit you back out. The same thing's going to happen. That's what I'm. If I unless I have this incorrect, but that's what it sounds like. You're going right back into the lion's dens in so many words.
Gregory, I would actually venture to go one step further than that, because the people who we think are going to protect our children don't. And when I say that, I asked for help. Had interaction with law enforcement in 27 states. My story should have ended there.
Should have.
It should have, but it didn't.
Right. Could have, should have, would have. There's a lot of examples of intentional failure. So I ask people this rhetorical question: is this problem of child trafficking incompetence, or is it intentional? And the more we unpack it, the more impossible it is for me, and hopefully anyone logical, to believe that it's that much incompetence. So when we are willing to acknowledge that it's intentional, it's no justification, but it helps us compute why, like Malibu was saying, the system isn't broken, it's designed to protect, support, and continue this corruption. So I'll share a quick story. Around the time I was born, there are 2 reasons I did not suffer worse abuse in this cult I was born and raised with. Born into it, designed for this from day one. It was every day of abuse. I'm the youngest of a bunch of siblings. Thankfully, I was born towards the end. The oldest ones had it much, much, much worse back in the day. Around the time I was born, we were mostly American children trafficked all over the world. At the time, I was born in Brazil. I grew up mostly in Brazil and Mexico. At the time we were in Brazil, there was a series of international raids where local authorities were alerted to the bad things going on, or a little bit of the bad things going on in this cult. And there were coordinated efforts around the world, I believe in multiple continents, to raid these compounds and rescue the children. I'll get back to that. And arrest the adults. I'll get back to that. 2 short years later, I'm speeding up the story, there was an international court case. And yes, there are court documents and all kinds of proof. And in 2 short years, the entire group was acquitted. Never mind, go home, everything's fine. So unpack that corruption on an international scale. But here's something really important. The headline said those children were rescued. These were mostly third world countries. That being said, I want to give some grace to the fact that they didn't know what they were getting into or how many children they were going to encounter in these compounds. And there's a lot of other things that we should expect from third world countries. That being said, some children died in those institutions where they were sent to be rescued from. So just because the headlines say a child was rescued does not mean a child is safe. Point 1. Point 2, unpack the corruption because it's intentional. Point 3, unpack the colossal failure of the US government and every other government, because our story should have ended there. We could have gone to school. We could have got medical attention. We could have had a childhood. Because these things are allowed to continue, and because they are allowed to hide in plain sight, and because there's this perfect storm of a lot of things intentionally there to divide, distract, and disunite we the people, the majority of we the people are unwilling to be aware of the evil that exists and that is tormenting children in our own communities. There are many different layers of this problem. Awareness is the first step towards resolving this problem, towards tailoring our strategy to be effective. So there's a lot more to unpack, but like Becka said, we shouldn't just have pretend efforts. We need to make sure they're actually effective. That's why survivors' voices are so needed in these dialogues, in these laws, and these new band-aids that they keep coming out with that aren't really solving the problem, much less addressing the right wound. Like, we're putting band-aids on the wrong wound. It's not helping the victims, and it's not making the bad guys go away.
You know, it's funny when you talk about...
I'm sorry, I was going to say, did you say pretend? What? Say that again? You had just said it. You just went right over it, Kim. It was pretend what? What was it again? Oh, I have to rewind the tape now? Oh, shit.
I don't remember my exact wording, but a lot of these band-aids, I call it signing papers and taking pictures, where these bills sometimes make politicians look pretty and maybe get them votes, but they're not actually doing.
Okay. Okay. Well, it was good, and we'll have to watch it on a rerun. See, now you're going to force me to watch it. Go. I can't stand doing that. Anyway, so I'm joking. I just wanted to, but you're not searching for like the right word or the PC word. This is bullshit. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't think anyone here has thin skin. Believe me. And it's not like, I'm outraged and let me yell and blah, 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 and then move on. No. What the hell is wrong with these people that if they know what's going, look, they could do the stats on it, right? We've gone over this once before too. And yes, I get adamant about it. Who the hell is doing the stats? So you're trying to tell me they don't know, but they're able to have somebody that's on the clock, right? They're on the clock. They're getting paid to do this, to do the stats on child trafficking and
make pretty charts.
Right. And then they they punch out and they go home. Thank you. And they go throw it on somebody's desk. What the? Seriously? Do you get where
Well,
I'm
So
getting?
can I?
They know. They know. Sorry, Malibu. Go ahead. It annoys me.
No, I just wanted to touch on this base. A few minutes ago we were talking about the financial side of it, right? And then now we're talking about why aren't these people doing anything? Why is the system not actively doing actions that actually prevent this? Not just prevent it, but actually do a viable action that actually helps the child after they've been rescued, right? So coming from the system side of it, from what I've seen and from what I've witnessed of talking with thousands and thousands of parents all over this country, and being in it myself, is that they don't want to fix it, because if they fixed it, what does that do? That takes away their profit. That takes away their billions and billions of dollars of profit. Why would anybody? That's like going to Walmart and saying, "Hey, I know you make $60 billion a year off this one little problem that you guys have every year because people fall for it, but you guys don't want to correct it. But can you do something to correct it?" You think Walmart as a corporation is going to fix that issue? No, they're not.
You're going to
So
turn that faucet off? Not in a million years. There's too much.
no,
Too many people have their
no.
hands out getting greased, as we used to say.
Right. So when you have a system, either a police officer system, a school system, a hospital system, a CPS system, if that CPS system is highly, highly financially incentivized to fucking kidnap your children for incentivized profits, and then they're incentivized to drag you through court, now the court's making money off of that case. Now the judges and the lawyers are making money on the back end of these cases on securities and bonds for their retirement. So now they're getting money. And then, who has to get hired? A GAL. Oh, now they got to get paid. Oh, now you got to go do a psych evaluation. Now who's got to get paid for that? It's just this system where everybody's got their hand in the pot over children, over destroying families. And then what happens after that? Oh, now you're dragged through the legal system for, I don't know what, a minimum of 18 months until they reach their threshold before they can adopt your child out to make a $4,000 to $6,000 bonus. It's a $1 billion industry for a reason. They don't want to fix it for a reason. That's why we, the people, need to step in and create those avenues of correction. Like Kim was saying, if the government's not going to fix it, and all they want to do is just sign a little bill and look pretty and do a photo op, what is that going to do for people? Nothing. That does absolutely nothing. I don't care if if I go shake somebody's hand and they say, "Hey, I'm sorry that you were trafficked." Great. I appreciate your concern. What are we going to do about it now? I don't care if you're a fucking politician. I don't care if you're a celebrity. I don't care. Screw your photo ops. Let's get our hands and feet dirty and actually fix this problem, because we know we can't rely on the system to do it. So we, the people, have to bind together. And yes, protest and going out into the community and raising awareness, great. That's amazing. But what needs to be done is we need to start creating congressional bills and going into the actual heart of the matter to fix the corruption. And it's not just the systematic part of it. It's where can we actually start looking to correct the other avenues. Okay, I was in one of the very first things I did as a child, as a teenager, was I got into modeling when I was in high school. How many modeling agencies back in the day and even today are fronts for child trafficking? They made a movie out of this.
Honestly,
they made a movie out of it.
I can't even. Obviously, it's not everyone. Look, it's bad enough that you have to deal with the repercussions, the sleepless nights, the therapy, the trauma, and every other word that I could possibly use. It was bad enough that has happened to you. Now you got to you got to take all that on one shoulder, and on the other one, you're going up against, let's just call it what it is, a juggernaut of money, corruption, and bullshit. Evil people that are, and you know what? Even if someone says, well, they didn't participate in it, they made money. Well, you know what? You're fucking guilty too, then, because you're sitting there for, so that's like the assholes that when they lit, like, this has nothing to do with anything. They lit that lady on fire on the subway. And do you think that we got that video because no? Instead of taking the video, why don't you stop being an asshole and go and help the lady or call the cops or do something? They're sitting there videotaping it, and that's part of this problem. It is a human being problem. It is, people weren't born to be traffickers. They weren't born to be evil. There's no gene in there as far as I'm, well, maybe that's changed, but so that's taught. And that pisses me off. That's what you want to teach them. Let's make money by selling kids, sexually assaulting them, putting them in a place, and then having them poached right out the back door. That's one of my biggest, Kim will tell you, that's my biggest sticking point. When you, that false sense of security, when you think that you, we saved them, you could exit, and they're gone at the back door. That, I was misty-eyed on that. Me. I'm not joking. I'm man enough to admit it. That really upset me when Kim was telling me that. And it was from that point on, I was already very much involved as much as I could. There was no turning back after that. You could ask Kim. And this isn't about me. This is just, I'm sure that there's outrage out of a lot of people, but God damn it, I'm doing what I can. Why aren't they doing it? And instead of why, I'd like to grab some of these people by the throat, be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know this is going on right under your nose. You're just as culpable by looking the other way. So it's everybody's problem. All right, that might be a little intense, but it's only Wednesday. If Friday, I'll be worse. Trust me. But it's, I don't even know if that's responsive, if that's rhetorical or not, Malibu. I'm not trying to cut your thing there, but it's
no. You're right. You're absolutely right. The thing is we have too many cowards in this country. We have too many people who are not willing to let their balls drop and actually do something, right? If I saw a child in distress, I don't care whose child it would be, I would have no problem going back to jail to go kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, no shit.
Over that child, right? That's where you have too many people who are grabbing their phone and just recording stuff and going, oh my God, this is going to get so many hits. It's like, really?
That right there. Yeah, I wasn't even going to mention that part. It didn't even come through my mind at that point. But can you imagine? That's just as bad. You piece of shit. You know
Could you imagine what would happen, though, if all of those people who were picking up that phone and pressing that record button, trying to find the next biggest TikTok, stopped for a second and actually stood up for something that was important?
You people are upsetting me. Stop it. No, I'm kidding.
You now become complicit in the kidnapping. You now become part of the problem of what we're trying to fix.
Yeah, you're making it worse. You're sitting there and being complacent at worst is bad, but you're participating in it in a non. I can't even think of the word because I'm so aggravated right now. But it's like I'm mad for you. Yeah, he wants to go to kick some ass. I'm sure you do too, Rebecca. Friggin' Kim, she wants to go out there with a lightsaber and chop off people's. And I don't blame her.
Maybe it's a different lightsaber.
None of this. I mean, it can be as for levity, and I'm giving you. Sometimes people need to exhale because they're not used to hearing this kind of stuff. This isn't just like, oh, let's do a space on child trafficking. What are you shitting me? What the hell is that going to do? It's about awareness. We already are aware of it. God
but Greg, the problem is not just from state to state. It goes all the way up to the highest levels into the White House. Donald Trump just came out with a video and announced, I don't know, it was like a month ago or so, that the Joe Biden administration was directly involved in 300,000 children missing from the border. Where are those 300,000 people? Where are those 300,000 children?
Yeah, good question. Has anyone even asked?
It's not just, but I think it's important to understand that the level of corruption that has to be in place for the level of intentional ignorance in this country has to come from the upper echelon because it trickles down. And I want to take a second just to say this because, Kim was talking about her experience with, international justice failing her. Well, I can't relate to international justice failing her, but I can relate to the fact that in Idaho, I was rescued by a police department there, asked for help, thought I was going to get the help, but that didn't happen. They put it in the papers that they rescued me and 4 other girls that day. They walked us out the police station and handed us a card to the local homeless shelter. Let that sink in for a second.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Becca. A card?
They walked us out the door and handed us a business card. They took a business card. They took our phones. They confiscated our phones as part of the investigation.
Right.
They took our clothes and everything we had in the hotel rooms. And then they let us all go separately. So nobody knew where anybody was. And they walked us out and handed us a business card. What the hell was I supposed to do with that? I didn't even have a phone to call the phone number on the business card.
Becca, you know how many stories I hear in that exact same scenario? Exact same scenario.
Yeah. And then they put in the paper, oh, we rescued these girls. That wasn't rescuing me.
Not at all.
That wasn't. My trafficker was in jail for 11 hours. 11 hours. I was back being trafficked before the papers were even printed.
Yep, before the ink was even dry.
Was it just like a good lawyer, or was it like we can't be bothered? We have a long docket today, type of shit? And
no, they set a bail and he bailed out. They always do. They don't. So this is what's crazy to me, okay? Because like we could talk about arrests and like convictions and all that stuff because I have some as a direct result of being trafficked, but that's a different tangent to this story. But they would go to jail for something trafficking related, and they would set their bonds at like 10 grand. You're literally selling children. You are harming them. You are beating them. You are allowing sexual abuse to happen. You are taking pictures of them. You are filming them. You are doing all of these things. And they set the bonds at 10 grand.
That's less than
went to jail
one day.
I went to jail. Hold on. I went to jail during one of these sting operations. They RICO acted me and charged me 14 felonies in the state of Arizona, right? I was a victim being trafficked, and they set my bail at $1 million. My trafficker was arrested at the same time as me. They set his at 10 grand. He was out the same day.
Wow. That's
Figure
crazy.
that one out.
Because they can make more than their bail. Forgive me, because that's the delay that's on here. They're making more money per day, maybe not even the entire day, than the bail. That's like really. Would you say?
But they don't even have to pay
for the day, and their bail is 10K. They just left with an extra $1,000 and they took a walk. Honestly,
but they don't even have to pay the 10K. It's 10% of that.
Right.
Oh, right, because it's a bond. Correct. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like, let's put that in perspective. And I openly talk about the fact that I've been arrested and then I've been prosecuted because today it has become a barrier to me. And it shouldn't be. I mean, a trafficking victim should never, ever be prosecuted for something that happens because they have no control over it. Every day, my life was get up and do what I had to survive. Period. And that's literally what it was. If it meant hurting somebody else in the form of taking something from them, then we did it because we had to come back with $1,000. If we didn't, ribs were broken. We got stomped out. I mean, I'll openly talk about this too because Las Vegas Police Department knows about this and did absolutely fucking nothing and still hasn't. One of the girls repetitively didn't make her quota, and my trafficker tied her to the back of his car and drug her through the desert until she stopped screaming. I was in the car. So yeah, like every day was a life and death. Like we did what we had to. So to prosecute somebody who is actively being trafficked, one, actively being trafficking, two, asked for help. So you knew they were being trafficked.
Right.
And your solution was to throw them in jail. One, I was safer in jail for a little bit. Okay. I was okay with going to jail. I was okay with going to jail. But the problem was, as our traffickers were using a vine system, which is something that is meant to protect victims, so they know when their perpetrators are being released, to know when we were being released, and they were picking us up at the gate.
Great. Yeah, they were waiting for you. I have to. We're going to take a break in another minute or two, Becca. But I wanted to get Kim's input on something. We'll circle back around, of course, to Malibu as well. But how are you sitting there and you're able to do this when I say this, meaning what we're talking about, this is not your first rodeo, obviously. We get that part of it. It won't be your last. Is it get any easier or is it get any harder? I would assume easier because more time has passed. And they say, well, time heals all wounds, which I think is slight bullshit. But I mean, is it I'm waking up in the middle of the night with nightmares type of thing? I know men and women, both, not just ladies, girls too, that, I mean, men too, that they just can't function. Obviously, there's a difference between functioning in life and doing just enough to get by. That's not really living, that's surviving, for lack of a better word. How are you doing that? How is it getting any easier? Is, I guess, my question.
I mean, I can speak for myself, and I'm honored, and it's an honor to fight back, to put it that way. I think me personally, the way I'm wired, if I wasn't fighting back and doing what I could about it, I think it'd be really, I'd be angry and depressed and whatever kind of emotions, but with no outlet for that. So I'm actually the happiest, healthiest person that I know personally. I mean, it's less of a flex and more of me saying that while this will affect you for, anything that happens in your childhood can affect you throughout your life, this level of intensity of childhood trauma is going to impact you, the way you see the world, your relationships, all kinds of stuff. I still believe that healing is a choice. I believe we're the only ones that can decide to heal, and the extent to which we allow ourselves to heal. And healing is a different thing for every person. There's no one size fits all solution. A lot of people need different outlets. So we can dive into healing much more deeply, but I'm not hiding in the corner crying. This kind of thing actually lights me up. Not necessarily talking about it, mostly doing it, but being able to raise people's awareness, being able to correct the premise is an honor. I'll say that, because there's a lot of people reading sensational things on the internet that are not necessarily factual, much less from people with lived experience. And those types of random tangents are also not helping. A lot of people wanting to focus on how dark is the darkness. That's not really helping. What is helping is shining the light on this darkness. So our job is not to be afraid of the darkness. Kids get to. Our job as adults is to turn on the light. So again, to me, that's an honor, and it does light me up seeing the change that's happening, which we can talk more about later. But all of us can do something to be part of the solution. And again, when I ask people not to do nothing, I'm saying that nicely, but I'm also letting them know no one else is coming to save us. If we want to see something change, it really is up to us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's where the change is coming from. I want you to be able to, and we had some other follow-up questions. We had some Q&A coming in, but we do have to take a quick break right here. You are listening to 88.7 FM. This is the Mean Machine Radio Show. We have a special edition, and I don't mean it in like a likable way. I'm talking about some of these. I mean, this is soul crushing, some of this stuff. And it's not just for me, but we're not here to upset people. We are not here to say, oh, me too. And anything else that might come across as like pretentious or not, or disingenuous, any of those type of things. This is real people taking time out of their lives. That it's not a Buick. You can't turn it back in. You get one life to live, and they're still here with us, and they're more than just functioning. They are healing at the same time as they are helping. And together, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. It's not going to get fixed overnight, but we're going in the right direction. This is not hyperbole. This is not like, oh, yeah, and like, this is a great pipe dream. No, like Kim has said many times, and I'm sure that Becka and Malibu and many people would agree, that it is a fixable problem now. You've got to make a dent. No, you've got to take it like slamming right at you like a freight train, because nobody else is going to fucking listen to you if you're, kindness from, oh, that's terrible. And, oh, what was that one time, Kim? What'd you do? Did you get like a $25 gift card? What the fuck are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? Pry open the jail door? Like, what exactly is that? I would rather not delve into. Yeah, I'm aggravated. But what I'm saying is not at you. And like I said, it's not fake outrage. We have been doing this for a while. And to be able to see people that this is going on with a lot more people as we are speaking right now. There's children being trafficked. There's children being sexually assaulted. There's regular adults being trafficked too, not just little kids, right? And then there's tender age children, which that is like that'll make me want to fucking cry. Honestly, what kind of a sick mother? You get my point, meaning that I'm not just here to share outrage. I want to know how can we bring this. I don't care if I have to do one of these every night. I will. God damn it! It's going to get fixed, and it's going to be in our lifetime. Because once we are gone, what the hell are you going to leave? Is everybody screwed? What is that? This is an uphill battle, and it is a battle, and it can be won, and it's not. People know. I mean, like Malibu and everyone else said, it goes all the way to the top. It doesn't end somewhere. Things don't go up; they trickle down. And how does that happen? Because the people up top know, and people are being paid, and people are being paid to either participate, do it, as it did, or to look the other way. 6.5 dozen the other, whatever it is, you're all guilty. There is no more blissful ignorance. There is no more. Well, that maybe he had a problem growing up. Kiss my ass. What do you mean he had a problem going? So the answer is to go out and traffic a child, or to take money, or to give safe haven to some of these people. Yeah. What about the ones that they hide them when somebody's onto them, and they're hiding these people? Why? Money. What else could it possibly be? You know what I mean? That makes me sick. And but that's me in a good mood. Anyway, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a break. And this isn't meant to be funny in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it brings levity for some people. Some people need to exhale, whatever the case is. And I'm sure we're going to go into it even more because it's important. You cannot fix a problem until you admit that there is one. And it's global, and it's money, and it's about people that are evil, and people that false sense of security for people like Malibu and Becka, and even at one point with Kim. We can't be everywhere, all four of us. But all these other people, you've got a lot of people out there that think that this absolutely, no nice way to say it, this fucking sucks. This is horrible. And something you need to get pissed off, especially in my neighborhood, and then things start happening. You want to get their attention? Where does it hurt them the most? Kim, where does it hurt them the most? In the pocket, right? That's where you got to attack. That'll get their attention pretty goddamn quick, won't it? Turning off that faucet, so to speak, like what Malibu was saying earlier. Anyway, we got to take a break because now they're telling me you got to take a break. All right, fine. So we'll be right back. But please mute out your mics. Our peripherals aren't working correctly, but we are getting the word out. More and more people are going to listen to this. We have people coming in right now. There's questions coming in. We'll have some more Q&A. So we'll be right back. You're listening to the Beam Machine Radio Show. I am Gregory Joseph, and you're in the middle of a good one with us. Please stay tuned, and don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear this. All right, so we are back. I think we've had enough of the elevator music here. Like I said, we don't have our regular jingles and sweeps and everything. We're going to go back. So for the people that are live are not hearing it, but when we edit and go into post production, we will throw that in nicely in between everything else. You are listening to the Beam Machine Radio Show. This is 88.7 FM WGAT, and we are sponsored by that as well. And we are with Kim Kelley and Digital Defenders United. Yep, and we have special guests today. It came up on the ad as survivors. I don't see them. I see them as survivors. I see them as real life heroes because they're trying to do something. They're not trying. They are doing something about it. Together is the only way that this is going to happen. So, respectively, we have Kim, of course. So we're going to put her back on the screen here for those that are watching it on X and on YouTube. And of course, we have Becca and Malibu, our special guests today. So I appreciate them being here because you know what? It's not as easy. People go, oh, well, they're going to feel better. They'll talk about it and they're going to get hits. And those are, you got to ignore that. There's no shortage of dumbasses out there. So, I mean, sorry, there's no other better way to say that. And that picture looks just like Becca. Look at that. Doesn't that look just like her? So she'll be talking to the Secretary of State right now, trying to get shit done. But in any event, right now, I'm going to swerve this right over to my guest co-host here, Kim. All right, Kim, we had Q&A coming in. We'll get to all that. But I know there's a couple of questions that, I mean, there were systems that were supposed to protect, you know, the schools, CPS, law enforcement. They failed to, did they overlook this problem? Did they get paid to turn around? I mean, maybe a combination. Help has not been helpful. There's no other way to say it, I guess. I'm going to have you take over from there because it's just like I'm just aggravated at the whole thing that I see some of the questions, not all, but some. People don't know. I guess you can't get mad at them. Do you get the same questions over and over? Do you find that you have to constantly have the same preface like, okay, I was trafficked? Like you got to go through it every time. Does that get any easier? I was asking her before meeting Becca and Malibu. Does it get easier or more difficult the more that you have to bring this up?
To me personally, like it's not emotionally difficult to talk about. Do the questions get more informed? Not really. Not with the hashtags or the movie or the blue short shirt or the Human Trafficking Awareness Day. I know that some, and I would even say many individuals are better informed, but I still have a lot of what I call incorrect premise assumptions or questions or statements by people on the internet that spend a lot of time reading about it. So they stroll in like they're the expert because they read something and they're very emotionally worked up about it. One of the biggest misconceptions, and I could write a whole book about misconceptions of trafficking. One of many, it's not generally kidnapping. It's generally someone the child knows and is supposed to trust. That can happen in many different ways. With me, it was my family. With Malibu, it was people that were supposed to be vetted to take on a foster child. So generally, it's someone the kid is supposed to be able to trust. It's not the unmarked white van and the masked man as much as family members and friends and people that are supposed to be trustworthy. Another big misconception is, beyond the people that want to just throw thoughts and prayers and well wishes on it or say I'm sorry and move on, there's this misconception that someone's coming to save us. And that's a very generalized way of saying, someone's like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened, but vote for XYZ. Vote for XYZ is doing something about it. Vote for this person. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Pray tell, what have they done about it? I wouldn't be here if I saw other people here and I was trying to get other people here, but they weren't willing to be here. So I'm here. I don't really, anyway, it shouldn't be me, but please tell me who's doing something helpful. I'm super sarcastic, as you can tell, because the reality is like they read something or heard something and I want it to be true just as much as they do. Like I'm not here to rain on their parade. It's just that this blissful ignorance, that's not helping either, So it almost removes or dismisses our personal responsibility to do something when we keep pretending like XYZ person is magically going to come save us, or is like doing some great thing to save us in the background. Unfortunately, that's not reality. No one's been able to give me solid examples of that yet, but there's a lot of narratives in people's head. So, again, the truth ain't pretty, but it's important to acknowledge the truth, the objective truth, not what we want to believe, not what should be happening, not the way that things should be working, the way that things actually are, so that we can solve real problems.
Yeah, oh, actually solve them, not just admit that there is. By the way, we just got Pearl Harbored by Becca. Becca's back, so well, I'm a Jersey guy, but you heard what she said, Becca. I mean, I know that you did, and obviously Malibu did as well. Where do
So one
we
of the
from here? Like, okay, we get it. I mean, I'm not even joking when I said this during the TikTok, and you guys were both there. You were all there. What did I say? I said we should get Kim because Kim's cool, and you should get Kim right in front of Congress. If we could talk about steroid use and this and that and all this stuff, okay, yeah, is it important? Sure. Anything more important than children's welfare? They're still growing, and you're inhibiting that. You're stopping it in its tracks. You're making it worse. They're regressing. They're not going to be adjusted. If they're lucky, they're somewhat adjusted going forward. You know what I mean? And then something can set them off. You really want them to, for the ones that do escape, so to speak, like Becca said, she was being sarcastic. She's like, oh, I was rescued. Yeah, nice. Everything's just fine. There you go. Here's a free library pass. What the fuck is that going to do? I don't think people understand the urgency, the gravity of the situation, or maybe they don't want to. Gee, I just thought of that on my own. Where do we go from them? What do we do? And then we'll go around the panel. Please, I want to give the floor to you guys, because you obviously have you see my position. I'm ready to like rock on. You know what I mean? I told her, I'm not even joking. I'm like, I'll sit on a rocking chair with a shotgun on the back porch right there. Anybody wants to come in and grab these kids, they're going to have to get through me and people like me. And I'm not joking around. I'll take a bullet for one of these kids, and I don't even know who they are. Why? As a parent, I'm outraged. As a father, I'm outraged. As a human being, as an American, as a citizen, having a soul, because that seems like this is a soulless. How are you? Okay, I don't get. Well, that's their. What do they say in like some of these countries? Like that's their background. I'm missing what I want to say. Like that's what they do, and that's acceptable. Kiss my ass, acceptable. These are human beings. These aren't. This isn't a toy. It's not a car. These are human beings. You're toying with someone's soul. Yeah, it goes that deep. Go ahead, Kim. You can.
I'd be interested to hear from everyone, because there's a lot of solutions that are needed. It's not like a few things. It's like 100 things. So I like to find like, where do we need to start, or what's the lowest hanging fruit? What's something that I can enact? What's something I can affect? So while awareness matters, while awareness reduces the predator's ability to operate, I don't see the general public as being able to be that helpful when it comes to the fight against child trafficking, meaning awareness is lost on most people, because even those who are willing to be aware, there's not much they can really do beyond protecting their children and, starting in their community, which I advocate for. So for the how to bring it home to people, I focus a lot on digital safety, because there's a lot of things that kids can't unsee on the internet. There's a lot of ways predators are gaining direct access to children in the digital world. That's why, I kind of softened it up so that people are able to be spoon-fed with action steps of what they can do to be part of the solution. On a broader scale, when it comes to child trafficking in America, what's like one of the biggest things that we can do that could be most impactful? I personally don't believe that we need new bills and band-aids. I personally believe that because it's already illegal, we don't need more laws to make it more illegal. We just need to, I'm not trying to make it sound easy, because it's not, but there are a lot of laws in place that are not being enforced. That goes back to that word intentional, along with the word corruption. So a lot of elected officials are not being held accountable. People aren't even checking on them. They're not even running, like they're not even pretending to care, trying to get people's votes off the topic of protecting children from trafficking and exploitation. Or if there's some sort of words being said, normally they say protect children, save the children, but what they're really talking about is like sex work or sex workers or pornography or some form, AI generated images that are non-consensual. not bad causes, but not the same thing as child trafficking. So it's almost like they're intentionally ignoring the issue and putting up all these other things to distract people with so that they keep looking good. But my point is that there are things that need to be enforced that are not being enforced. However, where I do see a huge void that we do need more, whether it's bills or just the right group of people that are doing it, is around laws and regulations that protect survivors, both the ones who are currently being trafficked as well as those who are rescued or able to escape, how to help them. For example, abolish their criminal record, allow them to be in a place where they can actually be safe and have a safe place to live and find healing or find peace so they can begin their healing journey. We don't have those things in place. We shouldn't have to, compel the politicians to say the right sounds with their mouth in order for that to happen. But I do see some gaps where survivors are not protected and traffickers have much stronger protections than the victims. So that needs to change. What do you guys think? Like, if you were to identify the top 1 to 3 biggest things that are realistic solutions, what do you guys think they would be?
I mean, I think one is to actually acknowledge that the problem exists. And believe it, that the problem exists. It's really easy for us to reframe something and to be like, oh yeah, people are getting murdered down the street, than to actually acknowledge the fact that people are getting murdered down the street. And then 2, to understand that the healing path for every single one of us is never going to be the same. Those layers to those onions, they come together very differently for each one of us. We've all been through similar trauma, but not the same. So a cookie cutter approach of how to effectively help someone gain their freedom. And I'm not talking about not being in handcuffs. I'm literally talking about how do we get them through the trauma and how do they become a productive member of our society without wanting to, be a recluse. How do you be able to enjoy life and escape the invisible bonds that trafficking gives us? And then 3, the feel-good laws, that's what I call them. Kim calls them Band-Aids. I call them feel-good laws. I think a lot of our general public thinks that there's all of these great things happening in a legislative perspective. But if we're not funding the people who have the ability to actually do something with those laws, they are literally just pieces of paper. So I would encourage every single person to not only look at what the laws are, get educated about them, but 2, reach out to your representatives, congresspeople, and make some noise so that the funding gets put behind prosecuting those laws. It's easy to write a law and put it on paper. It's not easy to actually do something with it. And unfortunately, there's a whole lot of that in this country. And it's not just at a federal level. It's definitely at a state level, too, where a lot of people were moving their lips and taking pictures and, signing stuff into law, which sounds great on paper, but if it's not actionable in a way that's productive to help save our children, then it means nothing.
Yeah, like something on paper, like you were just saying, it starts as a bill, and then obviously it's got to get codified. They got to, put it through the House and everything that we already know, legislative and executive, and become a law. How about a law to protect you guys? I'm not that you want to be defined that way, but Jesus Christ, I mean, something that actually will protect. Like, we already know that this is against the law. That ain't working. Apparently, that's saying, well,
yeah. I mean, the irony is you can make a law that says, bad guys are bad, but enforcing that law, who's actually going to go protect the survivors? Because you can make it illegal all day. You can make it, you know what I mean? You can say whatever you want in these bills and papers that are signed. But how is it going to be enforced? So a big part of this conversation is we're not here for the performative activism or, oh, yay, a new bill is signed. Now everybody's fine. What's the actual process? Who's actually involved? Is it really trauma informed? Is it really effective? Or is it just sort of another Band-Aid? Because I agree with you, but.
And I think also in that respect, I have been told by law enforcement in multiple different places that the reason why they don't prosecute or go harder with the prosecution on the traffickers is because the victims never show up for court. Well, it's really hard to show up for court when you're walked out the front door of the jail and handed a card with no phone.
Right, or when your trafficker is also there, so you're not safe, and maybe you've escaped and you don't want to go face them again. There's a lot of reasons why a victim is not going to show up to court. Yeah.
like not having that safe place. And again, like these places don't exist. And one, they don't exist. And two, like if they do exist, they are programmed by like people who don't understand trafficking. Like there is not survivor input in these places. So like I can say this for sure because I lived in one that was quote unquote a safe house in Oklahoma for almost 2 years. Who, I'm very blessed to have had the opportunity to have the bed, and it did get me away in somewhere that I felt at least safer because there was distance between myself and my trafficker at that point. However, taking somebody out of a situation where they're controlled and putting them in a situation where they're controlled is not solving the problem, and it does not lend to them healing. I mean, it's literally just, I don't know how else to politely put that. So like I was put in a safe house where I could not leave the house after 7 o'clock. I had to wear clothes that they approved. I had to eat what they made. I had to, like, I might as well have just stayed where I was. I had more freedom being trafficked than I did in the safe house.
That's
And that's
insane
because
just to hear that out loud.
I mean, but it's reality. And a lot of people who end up in these safe houses, one, they're not necessarily safe because I can tell you right now, like that wasn't the only safe house in my journey that I was in, and traffickers know where they are. So they're not necessarily safe. And two, like we come from a place where everything around us was taken from us. We don't know who the hell we are. We don't. So especially when like I was an adult at this point, but I had been trafficked since I was a child. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I liked to wear. I didn't know how I liked my hair. I didn't know anything about myself because it was taken from me. So it's important that if you put somebody in a position where you're trying to allow them to heal, you have to let them make mistakes and discover who they are. And be okay with the fact that they're going to make mistakes. I mean, prime example of this, I didn't have a license when I got free. And there was an organization in Oklahoma that like pledged to buy me a vehicle if I had gotten gainful employment. So I walked my happy self to a Subway 2 miles from the safe house every day and went to work. And they purchased a vehicle for me. And I didn't have a license, so I had to navigate that. That was a whole other adventure. But um, I was so stressed out. And one of the things that we always did when like things went wrong when we were being trafficked is we would move. We were never in the same like location. And I got very comfortable with moving somewhere else because it was safe to me. Like you leave everything behind and you move. Well, things got uncomfortable in my healing path, and I drove, like got on the highways, and I didn't really have a destination, but I ended up in Dallas, Texas. And I almost got kicked out of the safe house because I ran. Not They didn't acknowledge the fact that the reason why I was running was because that was what was comfortable, and I was uncomfortable with the changes in my life at that time. Had they kicked me out, I probably would not be alive today.
Amazing. So they've not done that, you might not be alive. So it's like I can't. It's like which one's worse? I'm having a hard time trying to figure out which one that is. One's bad, one's worse, and you don't have a choice. I mean, they're not trying to be nice. They're feeding you and giving you a place, maybe because they need you. You're like a piece of meat. Forgive me for saying it, and that sucks. That's just not. They know what's going on. I use this example. I know it sounds silly. It's a weird analogy, but the movie the Untouchables, where they knew where this stuff was happening. If you remember the part, where Al Capone was doing all, and they had bootleg and everything going on, and they walked into a post office. For those that didn't see it, and this will connect in a second. And so they said they're about to walk over to this door. They said here. So like this, and I remember Sean Connery, the role that he played, and his line was, "Everybody knows where it is. It has nothing to do with we don't know where. It's who do you have the balls? Do you have the guts to bust that door down?" Now, I'm using that as an analogy. It might seem silly to some people, but for those that have seen the movie, it's exactly on point. It's not like they don't know. We know exactly where it's going on for the most part. We know who's involved. We will find out. So it's not about trying to find it. It's about who's going to do something about it. What are you prepared to do? Right? I mean, that's how I see that. And that's why I use that example. So if you have somebody walking over to you, Becca, or Malibu, or even Kim, because I'm sure she's had this before too. My question, as being, let's say, an observer from the outside looking in, what do you tell somebody that says, "I don't know"? Well, where is this happening? I mean, can you pick out immediately? Can you smell bullshit? Meaning, like, are they being genuine when they really don't know, or are they just throwing something at you like they do with the people, like with cameras, like people shaking hands and all that bullshit that doesn't mean anything? What are you running into there? I mean,
I think it depends because there's people on the internet that leave a comment and you don't know the intent or the tone behind it sometimes. There's people that say all kinds of cute things to my face, and normally that's pretty embarrassing for them because I'm willing to rock them into the truth. But also, it takes a lot of spoon feeding sometimes. But my personal approach is I'm not here to tell them what to think. I'm here to help them unpack the logic for themselves. So I can tailor my message with whoever disagrees with me or whoever is truly unaware. But I know there are well-meaning people that are truly, they may be aware that this exists, but they're uninformed as far as how it looks and what they can do. There's also a lot of people that think they know what we're talking about, that the way I say that very nicely, we're just in a different body of water, meaning if we fail to clearly define and understand the real problems, then whatever solutions we implement won't be very targeted or effective. So I see all kinds of people, but I've also, my brain thinks in systems. I've also kind of loosely categorized it where there's definitely people that exist in our country that were privileged enough to not have experienced this, which is great, right? But they think also because they're not evil or psychotic, they have a hard time comprehending that this could be the reality for people that, unlike them, had to experience it, right? So while that may come from a well-meaning place, that's just simply not, a trauma-informed reality. There's also people that have been very misled by the media or whatever has politicized or stigmatized this topic, and they now associate the topic of protecting children with either a political party or ideology or just something that's inherently unhelpful. And, protecting children should not be political. So it's sad that people are easily misled and often their own bias or narrative can be in the way of that. Then there's definitely the people that throw thoughts and prayers at it. And while I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers, I like to challenge those people, especially if they're coming at that with a religious faith or saying, I'm going to pray for that. That's great. You should pray for that. But we're called to do more. I believe God put us here in this physical realm to do physical things. And I would like to find the people that are willing to show up like they have access to the power of God. Because I don't believe that any of us, and I'm not a religious person, I'm just here to call people to action because none of us should be able to use fear as an excuse to hold us back from protecting children. But especially if you believe you have access to the power of God, let's show up like it. Let's not be too cowardly to even talk about protecting children. And let's be willing to do our part because, again, we're needed in this physical realm to get involved and to show up for children and especially be a voice for the voiceless.
well, all right. Well, a voice for the voiceless. They want to tell you. They're trying to tell you. Now we've been over it. There's so many things. It's overwhelming, even for someone like myself. And I've regularly been on your site, which I was just showing at digitaldefendersunited.org. And I'll put it back up there in a link a little bit later on. However, it's so many. Where do you attack first? You've got this side of it, that side of it, the part with the law, the part where what are we doing about it right now? Like, who's stopping this? Do you go after? Do you go to just save the kids? Do you go after the people that before they do it, like a preemptive strike? Like, there's so many. I know you're training with people, law enforcement down on the ranch and everything down in Texas, Kim. There's so many different moving parts to all this. It's very intricate. How do we simplify this for someone that's listening to the show for the first time, does not know Becka or Malibu or you or I? Uh, where do you go first? People are going to say at the end, it happens every time. Well, how do I help? How can I help? Reading about it, knowledge is power. Great. Now that you have that, where do you take? Like, is there specific people? Should we send some people here? Is it different from just the online safety? Obviously, it starts at home, right? Safety starts at home. Is that even being done? Or are we going after the most pressing, what I should say, the most important as of right now, the people that are being trafficked right now? It's not unimportant, but it definitely takes precedence over rules, regulations, what you can do to be safe and how to do things. So you're going to get this. I'm sure you've all gotten this. What's the first thing? What's the most important one? Is there such a thing as number one priority?
I mean, in my opinion, the number one priority should be this wonderful saying that you hear quite a bit, and it's united we stand, divided we fall. So the number one priority is like, we need to, as a society, start standing united against what is going on around us. Like the division that's in this space is absolutely ridiculous, because I think there's one thing that every single one of us should be able to agree upon, and that is children deserve to be safe. And if we can't agree on that simple premise, then what the hell are we doing as a society?
Right. I mean, that they deserve the fact that we even have to say that out loud. I mean, that's just kind of a gimme for me. I mean, like, children, but for those that might not know that or think that, or, not astute to what's going on, if it's possible, anyone doesn't know what's going on, and people might you're going to get hit with this shit too. Now it sounds like what to some of these people, like, oh, you're just saying that you're just lashing out because you're upset, you're hurt. We're very sorry that this happened to you, but you stop blaming the government and all the other bullshit that you probably get. How in the world do you just give up on those people and move on to someone that's going to listen to you, or do you try to turn them? When I say turn, meaning like showing them the light, showing them the evidence, showing them what's real. How do you
I like to bring it really close to home for people, because there's a lot of well-meaning people that have these heroic ideas of like, I just want to go rescue children, and that's very noble, but that's called kidnapping. And that's not how we do things. Like, we can't do it like that. So especially when, often when I dig into that, I'm like, well, they're like, I don't even know where to begin. I just know I want to rescue children. Okay, well, tell me one thing you can do right now in your community to help kids. Like, let me oversimplify it for you, because it doesn't have to be that big and heroic. So again, I focus a lot on digital safety in my public messaging, because people can handle it, because it's very actionable. There's a lot that we can do to protect children and not give the internet unsupervised access to our children. Like, just please don't do that. So that's a very simple thing. I'm not saying it's necessarily easy, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible. I have free resources and checklists and all that information. Come to find out, a lot of parents are like, oh no, big scandalous thing, but they're not paying attention to the little things. I'm not saying that to judge any parent, because I have huge respect for them. I'm saying let's make sure we're starting at home, because that's something you can and absolutely should be, controlling or willing to take responsibility for. Beyond your physical home and your actual children. The other way I say it is, I want you to pick 5 kids that you know right now and just be their mentor, be their advocate, be that one strong adult in their life. Because again, statistics are really spotty on this thing. I don't really trust them, but still, I've read all kinds of numbers. If it's something like 1 in 5 children, which I think is a good guesstimate as far as kids that suffer some kind of exploitation or sexual abuse, etc., if we were all to pick 5 children and promise ourselves it won't happen to them, or at least promise that we'll be there for them, promise that we'll help them through this very complex life, we could change that dynamic. So I try to oversimplify it for people, because most people tend to overcomplicate it, but then they're stuck in this vicious cycle of being scandalized but not taking action. So step 1, be aware. Step 2, take action. And that means start in your home and in your actual community.
Okay. Well, and there you go. You knew, 1, 2, and 3. As you were talking about that, Kim, as you had mentioned it, I'm going to put this back on the screen here. This was a question that it's pretty much open here. Let me go back. There it is. I have no idea how to say her name, but it says, are the guests on the show in any kind of healing process, mental, emotional, physical? I mean, I don't want to answer that.
I'll let y'all speak for yourself. I think it'd be impossible for us to be here if we weren't.
There you
and I also think it would be impossible, with all of the trauma that every one of us has endured, to not have to have gone through a continuous healing process, whether it be mental, emotional, or physical. I mean, all 3 of those are horrifically affected when you are trafficked. I don't think that it would be possible to continue to live a somewhat normal or productive life if you did not address that trauma. So to answer that question is, yes, I am. I mean, I've sought, professional help as much as I possibly could in trauma based ways. I have great friends who I can vent to. I have connected with other survivors, and sometimes it's nice to just talk to someone who, although we have very different stories, can understand that the process of unpeeling those layers of the onion is hard. and that sometimes even the most little, what would seem like a little thing to people who have not been through the things that we have been through, can turn into a mountain.
All right. I mean, that's okay. Well, that should answer her question. Obviously, like Kim said, Malibu. Did you want to touch on that as well? Are you in? I'm guessing you're in agreement with that. But I mean, it is
Yeah,
right.
it's what they said is exactly right. But each individual person has their own ways of doing that, right? It's not one technique is fits all, right? It's Becca has her techniques of what she does. Kim has hers. I have mine. It's like when I am talking with their parent about what they're going through in a CPS case, and they're talking about their children, and they're talking about the trauma that has just occurred in their life, with ripping their children out of their arms and just destroying their whole entire world at that point. It does remind me and trigger a lot of my own memories, a lot of my own past. But over the years, I've been able to develop my own mental strength in order to push that personal stuff aside temporarily while I'm helping these other people. Because at that point in time, that is the most crucial point in their life where they're trying to manage their own emotions, but yet seek help, right? I can't help somebody else unless I can physically, like emotionally, like do that myself. So, but when that conversation's over, at the end of the day, I can't tell you how much weight comes down on me, and that memory, those memories, those feelings. And yeah, I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of self-reflection. And at the end of the day, I got to remind myself of why we're doing this. God would not have put me in this position if he didn't have an ultimate goal and plan, like an ultimate goal in sight. And I tell myself that all the time too. Like, I don't think God would have allowed me to go through the things that I went through as a child in just for shits and giggles, right? I look at it as my past has created my ability to given me the opportunity to become who I am today. And it's the same thing with Kim. It's the same thing with Becca. We all went through this for a reason. Do we understand the reasonings 100%? No, I don't think we ever will. But our job now is to raise the awareness, to reach that hand out and help one another understand that they're not alone. There are people here who really truly do care. And when you find those people, you've literally got to hold on to them for dear life because they are very, very rare. Kim is rare. Becca is rare. Everybody on this show, everybody that I've talked to, all of the advocates that are desperately trying to educate parents around this country, and everybody else, we're rare. We are fighting a war, but we need more people on the front lines. Like Becca was saying, it's about actions. It's about
Right. We're gonna writing it down and I mean, obviously doing TikToks and podcasts and being on the air like we are now.
right,
And
right,
getting that. That's great. It's a great. I wouldn't even say a great start. I would say it's good to, in addition to, not instead of. I say that quite often.
correct.
Fits. I mean, okay.
I,
So we have that down, and yeah, obviously Kim is rare. You all are because you could have did 180. You could have just said, "I'm just going to go heal. No one would blame me. No one would blame you." No, that's not. I'm not saying that the people that don't, maybe they can't, maybe not yet, maybe they're not ready to. And people like you are helping them be able to pull the trigger on their own thoughts and feelings on this subject. Maybe they don't want anyone to know. Maybe they figure, okay, I'm older now and I'm not scared anymore. I am, but I must find the guts to, I got to do this. I've got to tell people what happened so that it's not going to only help them to say it, but it's going to help other people from having it happen to them, or at least let people be, even if it's 10 more people be aware. That's 10 more than you started with today. So yeah,
Right.
small numbers, but those add up, don't they? Numbers are
I,
cumulative.
I mean, I think you guys could agree with the statement. Like, for me, one, sharing my story and talking about that is very healing for me. And it's kind of selfish in a way, because like the more I talk about this stuff, the more I understand um, that it could help somebody else. But also the more freeing it is to know that I have the right to sit here and openly talk about it. Because at one point I couldn't discuss this. And then two, the reason why we're open about what we've been through isn't because it's not hurtful, and isn't because it doesn't bring up other traumatic things, because every time we talk about this stuff, it does. It's because if we don't, then who will?
Right. If not you, who? And if not now, then when? Yeah. I mean,
I spent a lot
it's
of time trying to get other people who should to speak up, to do something, to get involved, to, you know, to work together, whatever. In the beginning, I just, for personal reasons, like I'm a very private person. I just wanted to peace out and not be in the public limelight at all. That was a choice I had originally made, and then once I saw, like, it took me a while to really accept that my voice was needed, because I was also like, why me? You know, like, why should other people should do it? They're better position. Is kind of coming from the place of being pissed off that more people won't. But it was also coming from this, like, a lot of survivors carry a lot of shame and guilt over what happened to us in the past. And a big part of healing is giving yourself the permission to release that shame. I have a whole separate theory that's kind of a whole different tangent about the concept of forgiving, because a lot of well-meaning people be like, oh, you know, God calls us to forgive. Jesus told us it'd be better to put a millstone around your neck and to be drowned in the bottom of the sea than to offend a child. He didn't talk about forgiveness and thoughts and prayers and dialogue and peace and love like he did with everything else. My point is that Jesus did not play when it came to those who offend a child. I don't think any of us should either, but also to survivors or to anyone who endured any kind of terrible thing in their childhood, I want to give you the permission to release any shame, because that's a big part of what keeps people from feeling worthy of peace and happiness and even freedom. I want people to realize, even if you don't, you know, have the empathy that any person should have for, you know, yourself as that child, I want you to think of another child that age. They never deserve that. No child can even avoid that. Not a predatory adult, not an adult who can easily outsmart and overpower that. There's nothing that child could have done to avoid that trauma. And that trauma should not be that child's shame to carry. So a lot of us have peers that are not okay or did not survive. Some of us have, probably all of us have things we can't unsee, and things that if we thought about it would haunt us every day. Those aren't things we can change. So this isn't this, you know, chosen positivity of let's pretend everything's fine. No, this evil will not be okay, and that's why we're here to fight it. However, whatever someone's holding on to when it comes to shame or just feeling like they're not worthy or feeling like they're broken or damaged, I want to help you rewrite that narrative, because choosing to release that shame, again, it's a big part of healing, and it's very freeing to realize that maybe they controlled you as an adult when you were a helpless child, but now that you're an adult, you get to choose. You get to choose to not allow them any more bandwidth in your mind, to not affect you. They don't get to affect me anymore. I didn't used to have that choice. Now I do. So I'm not saying it's easy. Healing is not a one and done process. It's not a linear journey with a start and a finish and yay, right? And, you know, even some of the best therapists in the world aren't really qualified or specialized enough for this type of trauma. It takes a very specific approach. And to make it even more complex, every single person has a very different healing journey. I think the important part is that the individual chooses to heal. Doesn't mean it's easy or done. It means it is a choice to decide to release that shame and that guilt from your past.
Well, let me ask you to interrupt real quick. I'm sorry. What do you mean? Do you actually mean that some people wouldn't want to heal because they feel like what they deserved it? They were bad. They were pre-programmed to think that I am a bad child and this is normal.
I've literally talked to survivors live, and I have videos of talking to survivors. I said, yeah, I was a bad kid, though. I deserved it. Becca, I don't know if you were there. He's comfortable telling his story, so I talk about it. But one of the first times I talked to CP, this was years ago, and he was telling his story, which he talks about. He wrote a book. Like, he's doing incredible things today. This was a few years back, and he was literally saying, yeah, but I was a bad kid, and I deserved it. And, ended up on the streets and all these type of things. And I was like, man, I want to stop you right there because, I validate everything you're saying. Yes. However, I want to challenge one thing you said. I want you to think about, I knew he had a child around the same age that when I think CP was trafficked around 15 as well. And I said, I want you to think about your child who's around that same age on their worst days, on their most rebellious teenager days. Do they ever deserve? And he went from downtrodden to like, hell no. And I was like, exactly. See, a lot of times it's hard for us to have that empathy for ourselves. A big part of being exploited and controlled is that your self-worth is ripped from you and you're made to feel worthless. So a big part of it's not only healing, it's really reclaiming your power, but it's in deciding everybody is worthy, therefore I am worthy. Could get a lot more extensively into that. But yes, a lot of people, a lot of survivors of the unimaginable childhood trauma do not feel worthy and do not have empathy for ourselves. So that's why I tell them to think about another child that age. Like Malibu said earlier, most of us would kill a motherfucker with our bare hands if we saw them hurting a child. But it's hard for us to have empathy for ourselves. So that helps to kind of reframe it in a way that's accurate.
I mean, it's taken me years to realize that like my worth isn't my body. I mean, when your worth becomes your body and becomes, I mean, it was sexual. That was the only thing that I was worth to somebody for a very long time. So like it literally has taken me years to understand that like I'm a beautiful person and I'm worth way more than that. And there are still days that like, I'm feel broken. It's hard not to when you go through the traumas that you've been through. But then I look at how far I've come in the past 10 years. And for me, that usually helps me reframe that because like I had to figure out how to understand that I was worth more than that. And that was hard. Like that was really hard for me to understand that one, the world is not an evil place. There's just very evil people living in it. And two, I didn't deserve what happened to me, nor can I justify it. And three, that like, not only am I worth something, but I'm also worthy of being loved and being free and being a parent and being a productive person. Like those things were something that I had to teach myself.
You had to teach yourself because you were great.
Because we didn't have that context. If you never had something, you don't have any context for it. So people are like, just love yourself. If love is a blank space word for you, or if it's a net minus 100, meaning it was so manipulated and abused against you, we don't have context for that. It's almost the opposite of reconstructing because it was never there. Right. It is deconstructing the false beliefs or the things that we were controlled by, but it is constructing a new belief, and that takes time.
So one of the things that was, and Kim, that's perfect. One of the things when I was a child that when I was taken away from my parents, my biological family, when I was a kid at the age of 7, I automatically thought something was wrong with me. What did I do wrong? What could I have possibly done wrong in order for me, strangers that I don't even know, come into my world and just rip me from my family? Right? I had no idea what was going on. I didn't have any anger problems at that age. I didn't have any abuse or anything like that when I was a kid at the age of 7 before I got taken away. Once I got taken away, I started developing PTSD, brain fart. I started developing PTSD. I had extreme disconnection, what's that? What's the
dissociative?
Yes. So I started developing all these issues because I thought it was something with me. I started hating myself. But then as I got older, I started realizing that maybe it wasn't really myself, but then I wasn't making those connections. You know what really made the connection for me when I was younger? Do you guys all remember the movie Good Will Hunting?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember that scene with Robin Williams in his office? It came to that point where he was like, it's not your fault. And he had to keep on saying it over and over and again. Matt, what did he do? He said, I know. He's brushing it off. I know. But it didn't sink in until he kept on hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. So don't be afraid to talk about what's going on. Don't be afraid to recognize that it's not your fault, because it wasn't. But once you make that connection and you start realizing that you can love yourself, you can forgive yourself for hating your own self. That's so insanely powerful.
And that's a good analogy from that movie. I knew exactly what you were going to say. Yeah, it's not your fault. And he's like, yeah, no, I know, no, really, it's not your fault. This isn't lip service. Like he was like, yeah, he had to have it pounded into his head. And we were
Right.
talking about something last night, unrelated. It was a space we don't do very often. It was called Scars That the Eyes Can't See. That was the name of it on there yesterday. And that had nothing to do with child trafficking or anything like that. However, it did come up more than once, and I find this to be appropriate right here and right now, that why is it the person that it was easy for a lot of people for the different things that they were talking about from their own personal experience, a lot of it heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, everything. But it was basically, why is it so easy, or they found it easier, I should say, to forgive other people, but they couldn't forgive themselves. They were always last on that list. Does that resonate with you as far as adhering to to child being trafficked, to being
Forgiveness is an interesting, I would say it's a complex term when it comes to this evil. I have pretty extensive views on that, but I'll summarize. Like, I think I don't know if this is the answer to your question. I think it's easier to feel empathy for other people than for yourself if you survived some type of really intense control and manipulation and exploitation as a child, because a big part of how to control and overpower a victim is to make them feel powerless, useless, unworthy, etc. So yeah, and then because they're a child, they don't understand what's going on, so they're like, why are bad things happening? It must be my fault, right? A child generally often doesn't know they're being abused, and they definitely don't understand it's being trafficked. I didn't realize that until I was 30 years old. I escaped that cult when I was 20 years old. I know why I escaped. I didn't realize it was even called trafficking until much later. So all that to say, we just have to realize, like, in the mind of a very controlled child, there's a lot of confusion, and that confusion will be translated with whatever the child can use to make sense of it all, right? So there's different dynamics to this, but a lot of well-meaning people and even therapists will try to, what I call, make it pretty. A lot of religious people will do this too and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but God had a plan, but you're so strong. Oh, but at least you came out so strong. At least you were able to escape, but at least, and that's fine. But in other words, I'm not offended by it, but there's a need to validate that evil is evil. Let's not try to make this pretty. I think it's even more healing and helpful for survivors when we're honest about it, because sometimes positivity seems or feels like invalidation, meaning, oh yeah, but you're fine now. No, I'm smiling. You know what I mean? I'm here. That doesn't mean I'm fine. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm saying for a survivor, we're very good at masking things, and people are very good at not picking up on things that they don't understand. So what my approach in a nutshell, because I could detail this for hours, I think it's important to validate that evil is evil. So if someone tells me whatever age they are, I'm going to have an age-appropriate conversation, of course, but let's say they're a teenager or an adult and bad things happen to them as a child, I'll say, I'm so sorry you went through that. I'm so proud of you for overcoming. I'm so proud of you for choosing to be here. I'm so, like, you're a badass. You overcame that. You overcame that pathetic, weak, pathetic coward. I'm so glad you're here. You're a badass. That is 100% more helpful than I'm sorry, that's really sad. Or, yeah, but God had a plan for you. So number one, you're a badass. You're not the broken goods or we're not looking at you like an exotic bird. Number one, you're a warrior. You made it through. Number two, evil is evil. That's terrible. No child should ever have to experience that. Evil is evil. It's not okay. We're not trying to make it pretty. And then once the survivor gets that validation, because real quick, segue here, but like a lot of survivors were always called crazy, told they were lying, told they were overreacting, had to really validate their story, told it wasn't, like, a big struggle as well, along with the confusion of all the things that were happening, is everyone telling you you're crazy. So that validation, that shouldn't have happened to anyone as a child. I'm sorry, you're a badass for overcoming that bullshit. That's so much more helpful, just PSA to everybody, so much more helpful than, oh yes, but you're so strong, right? With that validation, now we're facing the reality. I can't change the past, but I can say, hey, you overcame that. You're here. Now what do you want to do? Do you want to go like live in peace and just be the best mother? Awesome. Let's do that. Are you pissed off like I'm pissed off? You want to fight back? Hell yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Bad thing happened, bad thing bad. Okay. Now what are you going to choose to do? Because otherwise there's this struggle of the people who tell you to forgive and or the people who tell you, yeah, but God had a plan, so yeah, but it's okay. Right?
Right. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah.
Or I also think it's like, if you look at it that way too, like I think it's important that people that sometimes as a survivor, we're seeking forgiveness because we're so ashamed of what happened to us that we feel like we need to be validated in our feelings. And to be fair, like I mean, I came from a broken childhood. So like the stuff that happened to me as a child, I did not know was not normal until much later in life. I did know that I was being trafficked and that was not normal before I escaped being trafficked. So like that, I can't relate to, but I came from a childhood that was a single parent home. I was molested by my dad. I did not know that was not normal. When you're, 5, 6, and 7 years old, being molested by the person who you look up to, I thought that was how you loved somebody.
Yep.
And nobody could blame. I mean, that's hard enough for an adult to wrap their head around it, much less a child. And let me tell you something. Some people, I don't know, they go, "Well, you were 15," but yeah, that's still a kid. Just because you're not, in a crib doesn't mean that you're not a child. You're impressionable.
Yeah, but like for her, that started right? Much earlier. So like,
do you?
And I think it's important to note, though, that most of our stories started much earlier. Most survivors of trafficking, and I can't say all because I can't speak for somebody else, but the ones that I have been around in have come in some way, shape, or form from a broken home. So our views on what is right and wrong and what is healthy and not healthy are skewed usually from a very young age. So like it kind of snowballs on top of itself, and then like our views of ourselves. We don't know what it means to love ourselves because what we thought meant to love ourselves isn't actually how you love yourself.
Do you realize how powerful it is to have somebody, okay, like Kim, Becka, myself, or any other survivor who's watching this show? If you are a survivor of any type of child molestation, child rape, or anything like that, where you were taught as a young age that, like what Becka said, was love. That's how you express love. Yeah. Do you realize that the fact that we grew up and there's only two ways you come out of this. You either grow up and you become an abuser and do that yourself, or you grow up and you become a protector and somebody who will literally die on the very ground of protecting a child. The fact that we grew up and we are now in the position that we are in now, Kim said it, you're a badass. To overcome that mental fuck that's been established in your head since a child, and now you're at the point where you're like, fuck that shit. You touch a child, I have no problem going back to jail. That is the ultimate badass position to be in, because I wouldn't want to fuck with anybody who's gone through that.
So in your mind, well, I shouldn't say in your mind, what you're saying, just to reiterate for those that are listening in and watching or both, there's two choices at this point, at the point that you have been since you've been here. Either you're going to, let's make it even more simpler. Is it going to be good or bad? Good or evil? Are you going to do it to somebody else because it was done to you? Or are you going to be what you just said, Malibu, a protector of that and die on that hill if you have to? But that's where you're going with this, and that's as simple as it gets. It's not easy, but it is simple. If you get my drift, meaning
the amount of emotional trauma and self-destruction you have to work through as a survivor to get to that point where you recognize who you are and you know that you're not going to even come close to being that person who did that to you. You are now in a position to actually become the opposite and be the protector.
Right.
That in my head alone is just so insanely powerful for any survivor, anybody who's going through that right now.
You take those
100%.
small victories, don't you? I mean, they add up, right? It doesn't have to be a home
Well,
run.
it's empowering too
Those
because
doubles.
it gives healing more meaning when you can help other people once you choose to heal. So I have this saying, I don't know if I heard this somewhere or made this up, I don't know, but you've heard hurt people hurt people. I also believe that healed people heal people.
Right.
On the flip side of that, I have friends and siblings and peers I grew up with that are not okay. And they're in their 50s today, still heavily affected by what happened to them as a child. I'm not discounting their struggle. I'm still saying healing is a choice. I'm also saying no one should have to heal from that. But what happened, happened. We can't change that. We can't undo the past, but we can definitely decide how to react today. We might have to swallow some shit that hurts. But still, choosing to fight back. Like, again, if you're pissed off, I believe you're meant to fight. It can be very empowering. I think there's a lot of retribution in this for those of us who are pissed off and here to fight back. It's a little, again, some dark humor. Like, you got to be wired for it, and it's not for everybody. I'm not asking everybody, every survivor to come, fight. But I know that all of us can do something, and I think choosing to heal is a big part of then being able to help other people.
Right. You got to,
Amen.
it's got to start
Amen.
inside. How can you possibly help somebody else if you can't even help yourself first? Because then you might be, like we mentioned at the very beginning of the show, you could be making it worse. Or actually, you had mentioned that. We do have to take one last break, and then we're gonna wrap it up for this part one. Let's just say that way. It's impossible to do it all in one. A lot of people are going to have a lot to unpack tonight, as Kim likes to say. Look at what they put up there. Look at you, bad. You are a bunch of badasses. Forget about me. You guys are machines. I'm just here holding your hat, man. I mean, honestly. And I say that jokingly, but I'm really not joking. I mean, Kim said, in lieu of something else, I'd rather be told, hey, you're a badass and you're back out. Maybe that's better. Well, fucking hey. Absolutely. I knew that before I even asked you guys to be on. I heard what you had to say in those TikToks and prior and what I've discussed with Kim and everything. And there's a reason why we're all sitting here and right now. And I'm glad that I am. I hope that you feel the same way. This isn't about a show. This isn't about awareness. This isn't about, oh my God, that's terrible. Or what's the stupid question? What do we do? Or what? It's about, damn it, listen to me. I know this isn't like hyper. Once again, we're not making this up. This is it. This is the brass tacks. Listen to what I am saying. Once you understand where I've been, you don't have to walk a mile in my shoes. Trust me. Now we're adjusting. Healing, I don't want to say healing takes forever, but it's a process, and everybody's not cookie cutter. It could take longer or less time for Becca, different from maybe Kim or Malibu or anybody else out there. Even CP, I know who he is. I've talked to him before. These are they're WAR warriors. You know what I mean? It's about education, not for you guys. You guys already know. It's about them. They need to know, and that way you don't leave any stone unturned. We told you. We were transparent. This is what's happened. This is what we need to fix. This is how it's working and where we have to attack. And now it's time to put a little hustle behind the muscle, so to speak, as they say back there. But you had to forgive yourself before you can take one step, because then who are you going to help? I mean, if you don't even love yourself anymore, how can anyone else love you? That kind of thing. If you don't know who you are, I say this all the time, how's anyone else? Because they're going to see you as you see yourself, right? So that's also part of it. I mentioned this before. It's not just the uphill battle that you have of healing and dealing with with trauma. Okay, I don't say it's, but then also having to go up once again, to use that really, that's the word that fits best, a juggernaut. It really is, when it's offered like that, and there's that many people involved and that much money funneling through. God damn, that's daunting. But it can be done. It's not impossible. It's very possible. And it's not if, it's when. That's really how I feel about it. I do have to take a break. We will be back. We have special guests here today. We have Becca and we have Malibu, of course, my special co-host, my guest co-host, which she's here more than I am, but that's Kim Kelley. And we are so glad, and I'm thrilled when we're going to do something and we're going to have that go on. And can we have them on, and will they do it? And, yeah, I get very exhilarated, more than I do with my own show with the music part, because this is so real. And it's not entertainment, folks. This is life. Okay? It's nonfiction. And these people are very brave to do what they're doing. They are for caution to the wind every day when they wake up. and they say, I'm going to help someone 1%, just a little bit. Guaranteed people have watched or listened to this or will on rerun or when it's, repurposed and everything, you're going to help some people that, like I said at the beginning, that's got to give you a teeny bit of comfort, maybe something that you didn't have. You're not overcompensating. You're being a human being. You're being a good person. You're being, like I call Kim, the best that the human spirit has to offer. That's how I see you guys. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to the Mean Machine Radio Show. This is WGAT 88.7 FM. I am Gregory Joseph, and we have a very, very good conversation going on with real people. And I hope that they'll come back because, this is real. This is as real as it gets. I'm going to take everyone out for a minute. We'll give them a breather. Everybody, smoke them if you got them. And we're going to have our, if you call it a finale, we're going to go over a couple do some Q&A. We'll wrap it up. We'll get some comments from Malibu, some from Becca, and of course from Double K, Kim Kelley. And that's what we're going to do next. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Give us a few minutes. It's going to be worth it. It really is. It already has. All right, I know everybody's used to hearing like WGAT, and I'm not going to sing it because I only sing good in the shower, and I only sing good to Sinatra for whatever reason, and to answer the little thing that I saw in there in the chat. This and every subsequent anyone that there's ever been is always going to be sponsored by coffee. Drink as much as you can, as often as you can, as long as you can. Just to, it's a little private joke in there. Yeah, it's fueled by caffeine here, or as we like to call it in Jersey, coffee, like CAWFFEE. You know, coffee. That's what we got here. Anyway, all right. So we are back right here. It's the Mean Machine Radio Show, and we are sponsored by WGAT, which is 88.7 FM, going across the country. And we are streaming, of course, right now on X and on YouTube. Our YouTube is at Mean Machine Radio. Our YouTube is lots of different things on there, including this one that you will see once it's up. We edit it out and everything. We add everything in, but not going to touch anything that our guests have said. And on X, of course, it's at WGAT Mean Radio on our Twitter. The artist formerly known as Twitter, that would be X. All right, so we're with Kim Kelley from Digital, and she is my special co-host tonight. We have Becka and Malibu with us. They are heroes. I'm not calling you victims. I'm not calling you survivors. We already know that you're survivors. You're right here. So
we're just badasses.
That's right. This is the Badass Show. Or look it up on Google. You'll see Becka. You'll see Kim Kelley. Like, yeah, rock on, baby, with the horns flashing and shit. Yeah. See Malibu. I don't know. That was kind of weird right there. But we work. Well, all right. He's trying. That's close to the dip. Don't do the dip. The dip is like the kiss of death. Don't do that. Everybody that's ever done it has lost a World Series, a Super Bowl, or some kind of company. But anyway.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah. So, all right. So there was questions that came in, and some are rhetorical. Some, I think they already know. We have some people that are outraged, and not for you, not at you, obviously. But that's all fine and well. And so the thoughts and the prayers, and oh, that's so nice. And here's $1. Okay, great. Now we got that bullshit out of the way. Let's talk about real life, honestly. And I think, not to pick on those people, they're not. Some people are socially awkward. I get that. They don't know what to say to you. Do they look at you? Do they look down at you? Do they look away? It's like being at a cocktail party or something. You're like, look, do I talk to her? Do I not talk to her? They don't know what to do. Like all of a sudden you have leprosy. You're a regular person. You're a normal human being. We've all had bad things happen to us at one level. Yours is obviously a little bit different from your everyday passerby, I would say. I don't mean that in a bad way or a condescending way. I'm saying, like, you deserve to be loved by yourself first and by others after. It starts with you, right? So you're worth it. You're worth it. Malibu is worth it. Beck is worth it. Kim is worth it. We all are. And you can't do anything about what happened. You can't. It's past tense, right? So your energy, your thoughts, your feelings, everything could stay with that. But your energy going forward in the present, which the present leads to obviously the future, is okay. That fucking sucked. Now, what do we do? How do we do it? How do people do it? Because it's not like, oh, call 1-800. That was messed up. And come on, let's be honest right here. We know what's going on. How do we attack? Now, I keep saying it, and I'm not trying to regurgitate the same thing over and over again. Is there an actual answer? It's not cookie cutter. Like I said, it's for individuals, but as a whole, since we're all sitting here and we have people coming in asking, people need education. Okay, great. My sticking point, the thing that bothers me probably the most, other than what I had mentioned earlier about kids being pulled out of the back, is this is happening right now. It's not like literally since we started the show, right or wrong. I mean, I hate to say it, but I am not making this up, and you know that I'm not. So is it stop the bleeding first, go back? At what point do you have them heal? At what point do you have, like him? Please tell the people, because I think this is great, by the way. The thing that you do with, like with the animals, like with the pets and everything, where you have like that, I mean, it's like support type of, not a support animal type of thing. The thing that I think that's great, especially with kids. But here's some adults too. Here, is that going to work for them as well? Can you delve into that?
Yeah.
And I love that, by the way.
Yeah, I can scratch the surface. Like, it's not to avoid any questions. It's just that healing is such a complex journey. It's something I can summarize, but not really specify for each person, because each person's needs and style and goals and stage of healing is so different. So zooming all the way out, what's helpful is a trauma-informed approach. I'm going to overgeneralize and oversimplify something that is, again, very complex. Trauma-informed really means understanding and having a individualized approach. I know that sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how little understanding there is, and how and how often sometimes things that are designed to help are not that helpful. So that can happen in many different ways. So for example, when we rescue children from trafficking, it's important to, it's not that we could fully understand everything they've been through, but if we know what we can about what they came out of, at least there are certain things that we may not present or think would be helpful for them. So for example, if a kid was recently rescued from a religious cult, there are many safe houses that require them to sing religious songs every day. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that may not be helpful. It might actually be quite re-traumatizing for this child. So there's things that are generally, what I'm doing is I'm creating a blueprint of different types of behaviors and traumatic situations that can benefit from different types of healing modalities. We're creating a toolbox because there's no one-size-fits-all tool. However, there are certain behaviors and experiences that can benefit from certain types of healing modalities that we can at least offer and try and see what works for that individual. So some of the things that have been most universally helpful for most situations are things like animal therapy, as well as art therapy. So like music, drawing, painting, what you can do to express yourself, whatever the person enjoys, music, all kinds of stuff. Animal therapy, because as simple as it may sound, an animal is just there to be with you. They're not going to ask stupid questions or require responses that we may not even have yet. They're just there to hold space or be there with you. And it can also teach, especially children and people who have been in these types of traumatic situations, it can help us to relearn or learn healthy connection. Often connection does not feel safe when you came out of these situations. So kids that are very isolated, etc., that are, not wanting to socialize, etc., often they can bond with an animal, which can help them sort of open that door and feel peace with another being, where they can then begin their healing journey. Again, I'm obviously generalizing. There's different types of animals kids might gravitate to. Some kids might not like animals, is the obvious thing, but this toolbox of trauma-informed modalities is something that does not exist in the therapeutic world. So people are either just guessing or they think that talking about sad things is helpful. And with this type of childhood trauma, talking about the bad things is not necessarily what we need to be doing. So things that help the child find a way to reconnect with themselves, with the world, and with others. I'm really overgeneralizing things once again because it can be very complex. But if we apply a one-size-fits-all understanding or lens to this very complex problem, we're not always doing every victim a huge service. So often we have to be willing to approach a situation without bias. A lot of people have preconceived ideas, or they think that something that's peace, love, and safe for them is going to be helpful for the victim they're trying to help. That's not always the case. Add to that many other layers of complexity beyond the traumatic things we cannot unsee. Often there's things like alcohol and narcotics and other forms of control that were used that the kid has to detox from, heal from. That's not a one and done process. We have to have a trauma-informed process, of a patient process for each kid. Again, it's not easy, but that's what's needed.
The only thing I'm going to add to that, because that's said perfectly, is going back to that, I'd rather hang out with cats and dogs and people. Just saying. Just saying.
Me too.
Suck. I mean, look, everybody's in agreement.
Horses.
Suck. They don't say anything stupid. We should all be more like dogs. Honestly, we don't even deserve dogs. They're so happy to see you no matter what. I agree with what you're saying. I know that it can be complex. I always say the words KISS. Keep it stupid and simple. You know what I mean? You don't have to make it more complex. It's already bad enough that this stuff is happening, has happened, and will continue to happen until, we do something about it. All of us. It's everybody's problem. It's your neighbor's problem. It's our problem. It's everybody, everywhere. This is happening everywhere. It's absolutely disgusting. We get that. You know what I mean? I'm not here, once again, let me stir the pot and walk away. No, It's time for people that do not know to know. And for those that do know to get up off their ass and do something. Stop sitting on your hands and letting the next person deal with it. Oh, I'm busy. But really, what if it happened to your daughter or your son? Or maybe to you and you're like, oh, is that it's better now? So why should it not matter? You were a child at one time. Their innocence is being grabbed. These kids are very, very young. So young, I cannot even say it when I want to rip the microphone out of the wall. You know what I mean? And that happens. That's evil. Okay, we've established that. Now let's do something that we can possibly control. Go forward. And each person I see in here, Becca, Malibu, and Kim, everybody should be in a better place knowing that people are doing something. It's like tag. Okay, fine. All right, we're going to Becca. She's going to do that. And she contacted that person and she's okay, boom. And then it goes to into the next one. And then like a domino effect, a good domino effect. You know what I mean? Like taking the baton, run with it. Don't just sit there and stare at it going, it's not my problem. That's how this shit is escalated to begin with. Being complacent, pretending I'm stupid. Some people don't have to pretend. But what I'm trying to say is now is the time. Enough of this. Oh, well, it's just too big of a problem. And shut up. No, it's not. If everybody does their part, it won't be. You'll tackle this in no time. I honestly believe that. I honestly do. Am I a victim of child? No, I'm not. But I feel, I don't even know how I feel, but it ain't good. I want to do whatever I can. And I'm doing that now, but it's not about me. It's not even about the people in this room. It's about everybody cumulatively. So, like Kim just said, if you're listening to this program, either now live or later on, or any of the ones that we've done and the ones that we have done, where do you stand with this? Are you ready to do something? Do you care? Do you care about anyone else, someone other than yourself? When your head hits the pillow tonight, did you do something for someone else at all? Did you at least listen? Let's start easy. Listen to what these people are saying. They don't get paid to do this. I don't get paid to do this. Kim doesn't get paid to do it. This is on time that we will never get back in our life. Time is currency, right? It's the only currency where you have no idea what your balance is. So spend it wisely, right? I mean, this is not a meme. This is real life. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but God damn it, prepare for it. This shouldn't have to happen to someone else, another person. It's happened to enough people. I think we're all in agreement about that. I share your outrage, and I'm not sorry. You know what I mean? I want people to be like, well, Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, good. Now, do I have your attention? What do I got to do? Go on to like a choking spree? Because if that's the case, I'll pick you up. I'll fly down there. I'll pick you up. I don't know what time zone I'm in. I have no idea where I am. I have like 4 different clocks, and none of them are the same. Got to go look at the microwave. But anyway, I want to give the last thoughts, so to speak, to our guests here. We'll start with Becca. Becca, how do you want to leave this tonight? Do you want to tell these people that they're idiots? No, I'm kidding. Do you want to tell these people? Well, we've already established that too. It says right here they need to educate people on history. Apparently, the education system has failed. Okay, we get that. Just look at the current environment. Okay, agreed. Okay, where do you want to leave it right now? What's your final thoughts and feelings? Not forever, but for right now. Where are you mind wise?
I think the most important thing is to say that if you are choosing to be intentionally ignorant, which is the majority of society today, your complacency makes you complicit to what is happening to these children. And I would beg of you to stop being complacent because these children do not deserve what is happening to them. And I also would say it's a huge problem and there's too many facets to wrap your brain around all of it. So if you really want to get active in something, find one that makes sense and get active in that one place. If that means being a mentor to a child, if that means hanging out at one of the local homeless shelters and just paying attention to what's around you, if it means monitoring your daughter's child, your grandbaby's phones because your daughter's too busy to do so, then do that. But we are in action. It can't keep happening. It can't. Your inaction is making you complicit to children being harmed. And if you can go to sleep tonight understanding and knowing that, there's something wrong with you.
So well said.
That's yes, very well said, young lady. That's exactly where your head is at right now, and that's probably where it should be. But let me lay you in on a little something that you might or might not know. You're getting better. You are. You're getting better.
Thank you.
You are.
And
You'll be
thank
back.
you for hosting this.
What's that?
Thank you for hosting us.
Oh, thank you for being here. Please, it's my absolute honor and pleasure. It is. Malibu, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Man, this is such a great panel, such a great discussion tonight. So many hard hitting points to take away from the show. But if you are watching the show, like Greg said, live or tomorrow or whatever, I want you guys to take a quick second, sit back, and realize why some of this stuff is happening to us. Coming from a standpoint of a systematic CPS, Child Protective Service kind of situation. If you've never dealt with Child Protective Services, it's not that it won't happen to you, and I pray that it won't happen to you and your family. But there's too many people in this world who are out there thinking, well, I'm a good parent, that'll never happen to me. It only takes a couple of different scenarios for something to happen to where you are now in a traumatic situation. I could piss off my neighbor, and my neighbor then calls CPS and have CPS come to my door, right? It doesn't take very much. And why am I telling you this? Because there are far too many people in this country who don't know their rights. There's far too many people in this country who are just in their own bubble and just in their own little world, like running around like a video game, like an NPC, like it's just like we need to wake up the country at a mass level. Take a moment, learn your rights, pick up a book. I mean, they don't even teach the Bill of Rights in schools anymore. They don't. Well, like, do they even have civics classes anymore? They're doing this for a reason, because they don't want you to know your rights. They don't want you to know how powerful you are, because the more submissive you are, the more docile you are, the more likely they're going to be able to just trample all over you. If you learn your rights, you learn how to enforce your rights, you have no idea how powerful you are. You can protect your family, you can protect your children at any given point in time. You won't be afraid if CPS knocks on your door, because you'll know exactly how to handle it. So learn how to deal with it on a psychological level. Kim, she nailed it on a lot of these psychological issues that need to be learned how to controlled. Becka, oh my gosh, she's hit so many great points as well. All of these points and all of these tips and all of these discussions tonight, I highly recommend you take out a notepad, take notes, watch the show several times, because at the end of the day, the more knowledgeable you are, and the better chances you have of the ability to actually take action on that knowledge. That's where all that comes into play. So I've even written 3 books. I'm a published author. Kim, she runs a law enforcement training facility. Becka, I haven't really talked with Becka very much, but we are doing so many different things on so many different levels and aspects of trying to fix the problem. Find just one where you fit in and do something.
That's exactly what you just ended perfectly, because that's exactly what Becka just said. Just to her point, grab one thing for now.
Yep.
The one thing that you do, and stick with that one thing for now. That's what she had just said. You just kind of mirrored it at the very end.
You don't have to jump in all the way in the deep end. It's just grab one little thing at a time. Baby steps. Grab this over here. Get really comfortable with this, and then this over here. Then eventually, you're going to have so much courage and so much power, you won't even know what to do with it all.
Right, and it keeps growing in a good way. Because my question at the beginning of the show was, do you save yourself first, or do you save others first? It seems to me you're doing that simultaneously. You're growing on both ends. You can't see how animated I'm doing. I'm Italian. I use my hands a lot, so But you can't say, just pretend there's a guy just with his hands going fucking crazy, right? That's been me for like the last 3 hours. So anyway, but that's true. And that's grab the one thing, because even that one thing will lead to other things. Okay, you got that one down. You feel comfortable with that. Okay, great. Now let's try something. Because, yeah, it can be daunting. It can be very overwhelming. I would assume it would be. But one day at a time, because only one day at a time comes to us, right? You can prepare for down the road, but you can only apply it one day at a time. That's the way I see it. Thank you for that. Kim, you're going to get the final word. I don't know if you could top these guys, but
I don't think I can. I just want to highlight and applaud everything they said, because I completely agree. My closing message would be, to everyone who's listening, thank you for being one of the few who are willing to be aware and who are willing to do your part. Please remember that knowledge is only power if we're willing to do something with it. So exactly like they've said, I want to challenge you to pick one thing you can do to be part of the solution. Do it within the next week. We don't have a lot of time. What we need is action. It doesn't matter if it's not as big and heroic as you think it needs to be. What matters is that you are willing to not only be aware, but to actually do something to help. So thank you. And again, Greg, thank you for hosting this message. You're one of the few hosts that have the courage to feature this message. So thank you for letting us make more people aware and get this message to more people.
You're more than welcome. You know that. Hey, it ain't the nice machine, okay? We're going to do whatever it takes, however it takes. You know what I mean? And as much love. I'm saying this as a guy, as an alpha male as a guy. So I have a lot of love from Malibu.
Backhand hearts.
And of course, for Double K here. She's my little sister. I'm ready to whip somebody's ass at this point. So, I mean, but seriously, there's a lot of love out there. And I mean,
I'm glad she's double K and not triple K.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Well, we had a double A.
No.
I didn't know if you were talking about batteries, alcohol. At this point, I had no idea. You know what I mean? But, I'm very clever. Double K was the best I could do.
At least they did that.
Malibu. Be careful, because you keep doing that dip thing, man. We're gonna have to talk off the air. That's crazy. I mean, you're gonna be on my show. You gotta stop screwing around. Oh, see, now you got her doing it. You see
everybody ready?
Oh my God! I haven't had this kind of time since I went through Wendy's drive-thru.
Still trying to figure out how Becca got hearts to show up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I'll tell you what.
Keep
Like I said,
you
let it fly. You say what needs to be said. That's what needs to be said. Some people might think it as cringeworthy. Some people might think it as, and they'll have disdain for you. Like, they're actually pissed. Like, what are you, shitting me? Drop to your knees and thank God that didn't happen to you. I don't understand anybody, and I mean anybody, that would have an issue with that. Oh, they want attention. No, but maybe if they would have gotten it when they needed it and when they asked for it, when they pleaded for it, maybe if they would have gotten it then, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. But we are, right? And I'm not scripted. This is organic. This is how I feel. I speak from the heart. And that's how I feel about our guests. And please, I'd love to have you both back. Maybe we'll have some others on there too, but it's supposed to be a powerful panel. It's a platform. I'm doing what I can by giving you my platform, my station's undivided attention, because you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve a lot more than that. I'm giving what I can, but once again, this isn't about me. More people want to do it. There's other radio stations. They need to do this too. Get it out there. We're going to get it out to people. We'll have you come by Saturday night. We'll rock on, and when they least expect it, boom, there you are. Just don't do that little dance out of that shit. But other than that, we're good to go now. But obviously, I'm just bringing a little levity. So thank you very much for joining us. I really do mean that in every sense of the word. That is Malibu, and that is Becka. Aren't they cool? I want to have like pizza with them, Kim. That's what we do in Jersey. Like, I'm like, all right, these people are cool. I want to sit and eat with them. That's like the best thing you can do.
I like it.
Good pizza.
Yeah.
You too. Thank you for being here and being my co-host. Sometimes I don't know how to tackle it. It's not like I don't want to say the wrong thing, or all I could do is be genuine, and that's really what they need. That's what they want. I mean, that they don't want anything above and beyond. They don't want give us.
We don't want to be exotic birds or cute puppies.
They don't want that shit.
Nah.
They want you. They want to be heard. They want to be heard, and they are badasses. They really are.
Absolutely.
But thank you for being here with me. I appreciate it. We sorry about the audio stuff and that You know, I feel like you were cheated not seeing my beautiful face, but next time.
You'll
Next
be
time.
holding your beautiful face, though.
Well,
No
I'll
worries.
put it up on the screen. Hold on.
There you
But
go.
it's,
There you go.
I mean, it happened, but you know what? We go through it anyway. We went forward with it, and I am glad that we. No, seriously, I'm glad that we did here. This is the one everybody's seen that a million times. Look at that handsome devil.
Look at
I'm
that.
not as good looking as Kim, but I try my best. That's what I'm trying to achieve. But anyway, Kim, once again, much love to you. Thank you so much for being here. DigitalDefendersUnited.org. It's a very user friendly website. It is a legit 501c3. They're not trying to get money or do all these things, but I flashed it a little bit earlier. Take a look at it. Take a couple of minutes. What could be more important than that? You know what I mean? And just take a look and see how you can be safe online, how you can help your children. Let's make sure, if nothing else, we take away from this that maybe, just maybe, we could stop this from happening to one child with this information, with this broadcast, with these people that wear their heart on their sleeves. They're unafraid and they just want to be heard. And I will always, always give them a chance to be heard because they deserve it. And now, hopefully, they'll see me as a friend because I'd be honored. I really am. Kim, you'll always be my friend no matter what. So thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you very soon. And maybe you'll come rock out with us on Saturday night. We'll see. Maybe we'll get them to come too. But they've got to promise. Becca was good, but you know he was good till the end there. Malibu, none of that.
I can't promise we won't dance. That's probably.
Well, you won't be on camera.
Speaking for myself. Oh, fine.
I planned around you guys.
No, but for real, thank you for having us. It means a lot, and it's an honor to, you know, represent this message and bring on some other people that I consider definitely some of my people. Like, these are some of the people that I respect highly, and I'm so proud of them for, again, what they've overcome, but what they're doing today. So I'm happy for people to meet their faces of real warriors and also hopefully be inspired that they too can do their part. So, Greg, I really appreciate it, man. We will see you soon.
Yes, of course, always. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Kim Kelley from Digital Defenders United. We had Becca, we had Malibu. Those are real people. We did not rehearse. We did not read off of the teleprompter. I have it off. Goddamn thing doesn't work at the time anyway. But it wasn't scripted whatsoever. I didn't tell them what to say. They didn't ask me what to say. I wasn't prompted with questions. None of those things. I try to give this broadcast and others and people that have been on with other things, the more serious subjects, because we do a little bit of everything. Sure, we'll laugh and then we'll rock and we'll do all those things in the morning show and everything, that kind of stuff. But sometimes you got to do stuff that's good for the soul. So am I doing this for me? I would be lying if I said that I don't feel better, a little bit better, a little bit fulfilled, that I made a teeny dent in something that I know is important. It is. It really is. If you're within the sound of my voice, whether you're watching me, listening, or both, remember that is the currency. The only currency you have is time. You don't know how much you have. Spend it wisely. Do something good. These children need you. This isn't a UNICEF commercial. These are real people. Not that they're not, but you know what I mean. This isn't like, oh my God, we got to raise funds and we'll just throw money at the problem. That's very nice, but that's not what this is about. Learn, understand, and remember. I used to tell my kids that. I used to put it on the refrigerator. Learn what we're doing here. Understand what you just learned. And then most importantly, remember what you just learned. You know, these people are the best that the human spirit has to offer. They deserve your love, they deserve your respect, and they definitely deserve your attention. So please give it to them when they are speaking about these type of things. Don't ignore them. Don't question it. Just say, hey, thank you. And what can I do to help? They'll tell you. Listen to them when they speak. Just do that. It's a human problem. It's not a United States problem. It's an everybody problem. When we are gone, children will be older and they'll be running this country and the world. We want them to be well adjusted. We don't want this to happen to one more kid, one more child, one more person. Enough is enough. It's been enough for a very long time. So if you're outraged, if you're pissed off like I am, then good. Now it's time to do something about it. I'm not going to say, hey, we got to do it, otherwise you're going to be a victim or whatever. You know what? Everybody that doesn't do something about it, or at least tries or asks, and they just remain sitting on their hands and complacent, you're part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. It can happen now. We don't have to wait. Okay? Go to digitaldefendersunited.org. See what Kim has put together on there. There's a lot of good people behind the scenes that weren't even here tonight. Behind the scenes here and with them. So please listen to what they're saying. They are telling the truth. In a world of AI and uncertainty and what's real and what's not, these people are as real as it gets. They deserve your admiration and your attention. Please give it to them. I'm Gregory Joseph. This is 88.7 FM, WGAT, the Beam Machine Radio Show. Thank you for watching, listening in both. And for those that are going to catch it on rerun, it'll be on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We will be uploading a lot of different things. We have our morning show, which is tomorrow. It's every Tuesday and Thursday. We do everything on East Coast time. So it'll be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's every Tuesday and Thursday. We have different co-hosts that we've been, kind of, there's no music, but kind of like just gelling with everybody. We have different people that we have on. And I wanted to say something really special for one of the people that we have here. I'm not going to mention who it is. I don't want to embarrass them like that, but I'm going to say a special prayer, and that this particular family, this particular person, their mom is sick right now. And I said that I wanted to. It wasn't her idea. It was mine, but I wanted to say it out there while we were still on the air, so a lot of people will hear it. My thoughts and prayers are with her family, and of course her mom, to get better soon. And I wanted to be a man of my word and say that. So I just did. So, and I really mean that. So hopefully her mom will get better soon, and that her family can adjust accordingly. So my prayers, my thoughts, and my love go out to them. And they know who they are. She knows who she is. Anyway, that being said, we're going to end it right there. We're going to go off the air. Thank you for listening. Hey, it's satellite radio. So if you're not in that one little part of northern Jersey, because we're bouncing off the New York towers and that kind of thing, you can still get us on X on Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 70s, 80s, 90s. It's all Gen X music. But millennials are allowed to come. Now, we play the boomer music early because they go to sleep early, But I'm kidding. No, but really they do. So remember, you know what I mean? We'll have a medication dedication. We'll have some fun stuff going on. A lot of things. We'll have a little skit that we do. We're going to have a couple, maybe one or two celebs stop by. You never know who's going to come by. And then 4th of July weekend, we're going to be doing a double show, one on Friday, because 4th of July falls on a Friday. And then that Saturday, we're going to have an old 80s night. I believe that one is going to be Friday. It's like straight through. It's like 11 hours. So I'm going to need my beauty rest. I don't need much of that, but a little bit. Anyway, so that's Friday the 4th, Saturday the 5th. This coming up weekend, 70s, 80s, 90s, mean mix of everything. Not just rock, mostly. But we're going to play a little bit of some for everything. You want to drop us a line, you have something that you want to say, either about this show or anything else that we're doing here, it's info@meanmachineradio.com. Drop us a line, let us know. At Mean Machine Radio on YouTube, at WGAT Mean Radio on Twitter. Follow us on there. TikTok, Instagram, it's under Mean Machine Radio Network, and I believe it is Mean Machine 973 for Facebook. So we're on all those different things. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You had a lot of choices on how to spend the last few hours, and you chose to spend it with us, with me. I am Gregory Joseph, and on behalf of myself, Kim, Kelley, Becka, and of course, Malibu, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, really listening. We appreciate you. Have a great night. Take care.